What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the panel. Welcome to Player's Choice. I'm up here with Chilltown Hoops and Mars Talk Sports, two geniuses within their own right. I got to ask you guys right from the top, how unstoppable is the Suns' big three in the NBA today? Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker.
Well, I don't think they're completely unstoppable because they've lost games. So they're not that unstoppable because they've lost games. But, with Bradley Beal actually being healthy, they've been really good. I still think that they got an issue at the lead guard spot. He was able to avoid injury. That was serious. And it's the fact that he got hurt right around the All-Star break, that helps so he can get himself healed up. KD has been KD. But the guy that we haven't been talking about for the Phoenix Suns that has been really good for them is Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon's been really good for them in spreading out other teams' defense, knocking down the long ball. He's been a pleasant surprise for them. I didn't particularly like him in the offense in the past because I thought that he was one of those guys that kind of shot too much, but I think he's been really good for them. And the addition of Grayson Allen gives them a backcourt mate, gives them a backcourt defender that they didn't have. And don't get me wrong, I don't think he's Alex Caruso or anything like that, but the effort that you need to make it tough on teams, Grayson Allen is going to do that. He's got the tag of being a dirty player, but he's the guy that you want on your team that you don't want to play against. And he can knock down open shots, which is perfect for what Phoenix is doing because guys like Bradley Beal, guys like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they attract so much attention that he has one of the easiest jobs in the NBA. So in terms of them being unstoppable, I think they're going to be trouble in the playoffs, but I still think that they got a point guard issue that needs to be shored up. And the fact that they didn't handle that, I think that's going to be to their detriment.
Mars, how are you feeling about this trio as of right now?
I think they're very good, and I think they fit together well because I don't think any of them require the ball to be successful, and then I think all of them are capable of making plays for other people. I think Devin Booker has taken a leap in that regard. I think he's a better playmaker than he's ever been. Bradley Beal, like I kind of thought, is one of the best complementary scorers in the NBA in terms of doesn't really need to do too much to get to his spots, can catch and shoot threes. And he has done this without, I don't think he's been 100%, whether that be with his broken nose or his hamstring and then the back problem. So I think the only way for him is up. KD, I mean, yeah, you kind of said it. He's been KD. Been kind of turnover prone this year. Maybe that's because he's having to make more. But other than that, I think they're very good. But I guess the pessimist in me would say they've looked so good over the last month because they probably had one of the easier schedules over the last month. When they play against the better teams, I don't think they've looked particularly great just in January, but maybe in the second half of the season because I know they got a tough stretch of games, especially to close the season. So if they come out of that like rolling into the playoffs, yeah, they can be very tough to beat. But I guess I'm saying don't overreact to how good they've looked over the last month. I guess is probably what I'm saying.
Could this possibly be fool's gold, Mars? Could this possibly be fool's gold? Looking at what you're looking at right now.
I don't think they're as good as their record over the last month would say. I guess that's where I'm at. But I do think they're a very good team. But I think they've just had a very favorable schedule for a little while. And I think maybe it's bolstered people's opinions of them. But it's always good to beat the teams you're supposed to beat because you don't want to lose to teams like the Memphis Grizzlies by 10 points when they have none of their best players playing.
No,
but,
you don't want that.
You don't want to do that. Yeah. So shout out to the Phoenix Suns for handling business.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mars, because that logic right there about the stretch of games. Mark this down, Ron. February the 15th, 2024. After the All-Star break, the Golden State Warriors have one of the easiest schedules in the league. So don't be surprised, Mars, when you see that they've ran off 7, 8 straight. And then here comes the logic again. Here come the Warriors. They're back on top, not realizing that they've had one of the more favorable schedules in the game. You're going to hear that. I'm telling you that right now, Mars. It's coming. It's absolutely coming. I'm not buying it.
In their last 10, and last night they were up.
Mm-hmm.
and could have won that game.
Yeah,
So
and there's a
technically
reason they
should be
didn't win that
82.
game. But if I
Right.
say it, I'm a hater. There's a
No,
reason they didn't
no,
win that game. But if I
not-
say the reason, I'm a hater. So I mean,
I'll say it was Klay. It was Klay Thompson. He was the
Mm.
reason why. I mean, they're actually in the game. That foul at the end was one of the worst fouls that you could possibly. I mean, it's 30 seconds on the clock. It's a one possession game. There's no reason to foul right there. Play defense, and see if you can get the ball back and give yourself a chance to win. Only except he doesn't. He fouls, and now now the ball game's over. So again, Mars, wait. Like I said, after the All-Star break, they'll have one of the more favorable schedules in the league, and you're going to see a 7-8 game win streak, and the chatter is going to start. The Warriors are back. Can the Warriors win the NBA championship? Not completely leaving out who they've beaten. And don't get me wrong, you should beat who you're supposed to beat. That part I won't argue that. You should definitely beat who you're supposed to beat. But this is going to get an overreaction, and there's going to be some people who are going to bet some things that are wrong. And the Golden State Warriors are not a safe bet. No, they're not.
I gotta read this super chat. What's going on, Jalen? Jalen Carter in the house,
fellas?
people, ladies and gentlemen. David Mujinaya sent through a super chat. Hey, David hasn't tapped in for a minute. Appreciate you for coming through, David. He said, "What do you guys think about 2K's GOAT tier list? If you haven't seen it, it's in the PC chat." Mars, Chill, Jalen, have you guys seen
think
this?
this is
Look at it right now.
This is for you.
I
I'm not a 2K guy. I don't know.
I can read it if you like.
Yeah.
MJ,
If you could send it to me too, I could put it on the screen
on
on Telegram.
Okay, let me try.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I just sent it to you, Ron.
All right, cool.
Unfortunately, I don't know.
W Jalen.
Yeah.
So do you don't want me to read it? If you
You can start reading it.
Okay, so we got MJ, Bron, Kobe. That's tier 1. They're the top 3. Kareem, Russell, Shaq, Magic, Wilt, Bird, Duncan. That's tier 2. That's the rest of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Steph, Hakeem, number 32. KD, KG, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson. That's tier 3, 11 to 17. Tier 4, Dr. J, Dirk, Moses Malone, D Wade, Giannis, Jokic, Scottie Pippen. That's 18 to 24. And then tier 5, Isaiah Thomas, Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Ewing, Chris Paul, Allen Iverson, John Stockton, David Robinson, 25 to 31.
So was this made by like 2K or like it says it's Logan Bradley's GOAT list? Like, is it just
from my knowledge,
Mhm.
the 2K tier list, as someone who has indulged in playing 2K, is basically the 2K my career story. Is you have to try and become the GOAT. And that's the order in which they believe the GOAT list is. So you have to try and overtake all of those guys and then eventually become better than Michael Jordan. So that's the order they have the GOAT list at. I think it's insane. But I for the life of me, I can't understand how David Robinson is below Patrick Ewing and Chris Paul and Allen Iverson and John Stockton.
No way.
I don't understand it.
David Robinson gets disrespected so much.
I don't
He's definitely a top 25 player. No question about it.
That doesn't even make an ounce of sense to me. But hey.
Chill and Mars, what's the highest David Robinson could be on somebody's list for you to just be like, maybe you don't agree with it, but you can be like, all right, I can see that. Chill, you just said top 25, but what's the highest he could possibly be?
Top 15.
I think 15, 14, 13.
If I don't rank the old guys, I have him in my top 15.
So James,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. So James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Lajuan, Diesel, Bryant, Curry, Oscar, Jerry West, Moses Malone, Doc, KD, Karl Malone, KG, Havlicek. Those are the top 20. After that, let's see.
David's right there now, Chill.
I think he's right. He's right in anywhere between 22 and 25. Anywhere between 22 and 25, I got no problem with that. Anything after 25, I'm good on. I'm good on anything that you say. I'm straight.
Dave Robinson's better than John Havlicek. I'm sorry, Mr. Havlicek. I'm sorry. He's better than him.
I think he checks off a lot of the boxes, other than the kind of, I guess, being the best player on a championship team. He checks off every other list, whether statistical dominance. I think just if you just watch his game, offense, defense, You know, I mean, he just
His
every other-
longevity is a bit questionable.
I
but
guess
he
he had
did come in.
longevity,
He
yeah.
did come in at like.
Yeah, I
20.
mean, did he have to serve the country because he went to that? He went
more
to
years.
Yeah,
He
he
was
got
in the
drafted and then didn't come over.
Yeah, I'm saying he had to serve his country because he went. I ain't gonna tax him for serving his country. I'm not doing that. He had to do that because the college he went to. So I'm gonna give him a pass on a little bit. The longevity, 100%. But yeah, like you said, he didn't come into the league till 26 or 24. Sorry,
I want to say
24,
24.
25. Yeah.
And then he got his injury in 97. Yeah, the year before.
97.
The year.
So that was 7 years later.
Yeah,
That was
so
7. Yeah.
and then
Eight,
he wasn't
actually
the same,
8 years. It was
and
8
he wasn't
years.
the same player after that. So
No, he wasn't.
yeah, his
But in
longevity.
those 7 years, though, Mars, in those 7 years, I mean, we ain't talking about a good player. We ain't talking about a
That's
great
one of the
player.
best players ever. Yeah, that's one of the best players.
We talking about. I think he was 26 over that span of time. I think he was 26 and 12. 5 of those 6 years, he finished in the top 5, top 4 in defensive player of the year. And he finished in the top 5 of those 7 years in league MVP. Won the defensive player of the year. I think he won it twice.
Did he have any block titles? I think he always put up these crazy stat lines where he had.
I think he led the league in blocks one time, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think he led the league in blocks once, but
I think
he wasn't a
probably
ridiculous
maybe.
glass cleaner. But he was a great glass cleaner. But he just ran into some juggernauts. That's all that was. And the ironic thing about David Robinson, with the stature that he has, he was considered a finesse, soft big man, which was not true. That just wasn't true. He was not soft.
It's because he liked to face up. It's because he liked to face up. And
Right.
at the time, if you were a face up big, you like to take your little 15-foot jumpers instead of plowing through people to be Shaq, you were soft.
That's crazy. He's considered soft. To me, the most chiseled. The most chiseled body I've seen in the NBA. I don't care what it says. Dude's built like a Greek god. Dude is built like absolute Greek god.
Nate Thurman's is up there. Nate Thurman was built ridiculous. But yeah, I got David Robinson very high. I'm very high on David Robinson, which is funny because I got called a David Robinson hater, which is weird because I know everyone who called me a hater doesn't rate David Robinson as highly as I do. But yeah, I think David Robinson has a case for top 15. Like 17 probably is like around where I think it makes sense if you rank like Jerry West and Oscar and those guys. Outside the top 25 is crazy, in my opinion. I don't get how you could get to 25.
I agree.
Better than him. That doesn't make sense. That's all. Personally.
So I gotta ask you guys, and Mars, I need you to take your bias hat off. As hard as it may be to do.
Oh, if you are okay.
Here we go.
David Robinson.
Here we go. Here we go.
David Robinson versus Karl Malone. Does David have a case to be better than the mailman? The Admiral better than that mailman? What do you guys think? No,
I think peak for peak. Yeah, I think he's better than him.
Peak, he has a case. Longevity.
I think peak David Robinson.
We can throw longevity out of here.
Yeah, I think peak David Robinson is better than peak number 32. But when you have to factor in the fact that one was elite for 15 plus years and the other one, wasn't. I think 32 would rank higher all time because I think he provided more value over the course of his career. But at their best, who do I think is the better player? David Robinson.
Peak for peak. Wow, that's tough, Mars.
You get one for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm not saying number 32's peak is just meh. But
right. I mean, we're going up against David Robinson, of course. Yeah. It's not like we're going up against, somebody that's just okay. No. I mean, Karl Malone during his peak years, I mean, they was in the Western Conference Championship. They just couldn't get over the hump. I mean, he was 28 and 11 for 11 years. I think his best season, he was 31 and 11. That was his best season. David Robinson led the league in scoring. I think David Robinson led the league in scoring one year. That was the year he had 71. I'm sorry. He had 71 in that one game. With that being said, for what Malone brought to the Utah Jazz in terms of his ability to score, in terms of his ability to rebound, I know this might sound ridiculous, but being able to hit clutch shots in big moments, he was better than David Robinson in that aspect. He was just as good a rebounder as David Robinson. David Robinson was not an elite rebounder as far as between him and Malone. He wasn't a superior rebounder to Malone. I think Malone was a better scorer. I think David Robinson was a better athlete. I will give you that, Mars, 100%. He was a better athlete. I think he was a better rim protector, but I think Malone was better at his job than David Robinson was at his job at the 4 spot.
I think Tri-State made a good point. The Tri-State with the super chat where the gap defensively is much larger than the gap offensively which is true. Which is true. I think Malone is a little better offensively, but I think again
Mhm.
both can score the ball. I think both led the league in scoring at some point.
Yep.
Rebounding again, like you said, they're pretty close to. I just thought David Robinson has one rebounding title. It's there, but the gap defensively is where I think it's the most noticeable. Passing wise,
Number 32 is a better passer.
better passer. Okay, we'll get a better
100%,
passer. So yeah.
Yes,
So I guess the
yes.
gap defensively just depends. Maybe it just depends how much you value.
Is it though? Because Malone was an elite defender. Malone wasn't a
Malone
good
was
defender.
good, yeah.
David
Malone
Robinson
was
is one of the best.
Yeah, David Robinson. Yeah, I think is super elite. Like he's closer to Hakeem than Karl is close.
Yo, chill. David Robinson had a season where he averaged 4.5 blocks, which he obviously led the league in blocks that year, and then he also averaged 2.5 steals too.
Yes, he did do that.
You know how absurd?
He averaged 2.5 steals now. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm
4.5
thinking about with Malone, and I'm thinking about him having to go up against, because again, that was a big man era. So a lot of times he got switched on the bigger guys and dealing with guys at his position. Malone wasn't much of a rim protector, but he can block shots. But he was really good at swiping at the ball, kind of like what Joker does, except Malone was elite at that. Got guys getting shots off. He was real good at disrupting that and giving guys one opportunity in terms of shots. Like once you got the shot off, Malone was getting the rebound and they were going with it. David Robinson, he was an elite rim protector, but in the process of him being a rim protector, you could get the ball back from him. So that's kind of, when I think about the defense, I'll give you the edge defensively, but I don't think it's that wide of a gap because Malone made the all-league defensive team, 4 times? 3 of those 4 times it was first team. And he was doing it in an era where the defensive bigs were awesome.
David Robinson
say this. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say every time you see, whenever Luka has those big games with Jokic, they always put up a graphic of the stat line, and they always mention him. They mention Wilt. David Robinson sneakily is in a lot of those things where he just stats the stuff sheet in every statistical category, just like those guys. I think he kind of gets overlooked. I always see his name pop up. Like, oh, you kind of expect the Wilt, a LeBron, Luka, Jokic, Westbrook, but David Robinson's right there in a lot of these games. Like his stat lines are right there. So I just want to say he did kind of fill the stats and put up these kind of jaw-dropping numbers maybe before they were kind of popularized.
For what it's worth, the stat guys, like the advanced analytics crowd and like the impact crowd, rate David Robinson very highly, like higher than I rate him. If you talk to enough people, you'll find people who think David Robinson legitimately was the best player in the world for a few years. Like, while Michael Jordan was in the league. There was an argument, Moss. He had a case. They'll point to some advanced analytics and some impact metrics, and they'll genuinely say David Robinson was better than Michael Jordan some years in the 90s. That's how highly they rate him. So, yeah, David Robinson's numbers are off the charts. But defensively, I always say I think David Robinson is one of the 5 best defenders ever. Like, post 3-point. And I think he's one of the 5 best ever. Him, Duncan, KG,
Hakeem,
yeah, and then I don't know who would be in that 5th spot, but like those 4, and then someone else.
Russell.
Even all time, you put Bill Russell, and then Wilt, Hakeem, Duncan, David Robinson probably, or KG, one of those 2. So he's top 6, easy. I don't think number 32 is that good of a defender. I do think, especially like later on in his career, like mid 90s, late 90s. I do think he was a very, very good defender.
That's when he was making first team all defense during that time.
But I think the argument would be somewhat of, you think he's a better scorer, number 32, and you think he's so much better of a passer and playmaker that what he brings on offense would supersede David Robinson's 2-way impact. Because I've always said I'm not as high on David Robinson's offense as a lot of people, but I'm also not as high on number.
Why, Mars? What's your issue with David Robinson offensively? Because I want to start the conversation with him having a money mid-range game. Like, nobody talks about the fact that he could, even though he faced up, it wasn't just in the mid post. Like what Joel Embiid does at the elbow and at the free throw line, David Robinson was doing that not only in the half court, he was doing that in transition too. So he had a money mid-range game. 100% he did.
For sure had him. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I don't, there's no numbers for like how often he took mid-range. I'd assume it was like 40%, 50% of his offense in terms of how often he was in the mid-range. Right. But my issue with his offense has always been, how do I say it? I think his ability to make jump shots was great, but then I also think his, not inability, but I don't think he carved out very efficient opportunities for himself very often, which is why I think he struggled in the playoffs to maintain his efficiency, which in part is because the team around him expected him to isolate a lot more than he probably should have, because I don't think he was that great in isolation. So that's why I always say I think David Robinson would have benefited more from someone who is a better offensive player than him, which is why when Tim Duncan came along and he gets to be a number 2 who can hit his spot on mid-range jump shots and then can play high-low with Tim Duncan, he thrives and he looks like a very good offensive player while being one of the best defenders out. But as the number 1 guy, I just think he struggled to create great opportunities for himself consistently. Pretty much had to drive right like all the time. But that's besides the point.
Which is ironic because he's left-handed.
Yeah, I don't know, but every drive had to go right. So I mean, right. There's that. But I do want to say number 32 I think struggled with similar issues in terms of his scoring translating, and that's because I think he just wasn't great around the rim. Like in the open space, like he was fantastic, tremendous athlete, but in a crowd around the rim, I think he struggled to finish oversized. I don't think he was very explosive in traffic. Wow.
I don't know about that, Mars.
Nah, when I see it, when he right. that little pick and roll, there's a reason I think he stops at 15 feet quite often. Because if you send him into a crowd around the rim, he ends up finishing like, I want to say like a guard, but he doesn't finish over the top very well, in my opinion, in a crowded space. Right. If you give him a runway, I think he's great. But if you give him a runway, I think he's great, and that's why I think he would stop short and then build the momentum. But if he's there with no momentum, I don't think his touch was very great. I think he struggled finishing oversized, like I alluded to. And I think that's why he was less efficient in the playoffs. And also he took his fair share of jump shots too. He was very good in the mid-range. So I'll give him that. But I just think both of them were flawed, which is why I think they're like a level below some of the better players like Duncan, Hakeem, etc. But in like that next group, I do think they're both like near the top of that category of the next group of guys. Like who would I put in that group?
Is he better than Dirk?
Yeah, I'd have them both over Dirk. I think they're in that group of like KD, Giannis, Kawhi, like at their best, Kawhi, Jokic. That's the group they're in. But I don't think they're in the group of like Duncan and Kobe and Magic. I don't think they're in that group, but they're in the next group now.
So that group you said, I guess the only difference between David Robinson, like you said, KD, Kawhi Leonard, Jokic, Giannis, they all won championships as the best player on the team. That's what holds David Robinson back. If he wins the championship as the best player, he probably
which to your point, Mars, really quickly. So the reason why that pick and pop was so effective was because at that time the game was so condensed because the big man was there. Well, now Malone actually has that in his game. So when he gets guys like David Robinson, he gets guys like Tim Duncan or Barkley switched on him, he can now knock that shot down. And when those guys come out of the lane, Malone was great at getting to the basket. Actually, once those guys would close in, they weren't athletic or fast enough. Not David Robinson, but the majority of those bigs weren't athletic enough to close on him. So he could get past them with a shot fake and go downhill, dunk the basketball, or get an and one because he was good around the basket in terms of his touch. Malone had a really good way. A lot of people don't do this today, which I'm supremely shocked at, where Malone had a way when he was in transition where he would bury a guy underneath the basket. He wouldn't bury him in the post. He would run right to the middle of the basket and just bury a guy right underneath the basket, and Stockton would just fire it to him, and it was basically dead man zone. So I think that Malone, he added that pick and pop, that 15-foot jump shot to his game to expand his game, to get the big man out of the paint. Once the big man got out of the paint, that allowed him to drive to the basket and get even more buckets in addition to what him and Stockton were already doing.
And that's what made him a great passer too, and his ability to draw bigs out the lane. He was very good at finding people cutting or hitting shooters. I've always said it, that like the 90s Jazz, the ones that were going to the finals, I think 32 was the best playmaker on that team. I always say that. That's how high I am on his playmaking. I guess maybe how low I am on the other person, but how high I am on him, I think he was the one creating a lot of the opportunities for that Jazz offense. So
now remember, Bron, remember what we're talking about. Mars and I, we see playmaking different than other people. Playmaking isn't just passing. Playmaking is a lot of other things. Except it's more than this. It's more than just getting a guy to basketball. It's definitely way more than that.
But I can respect that too. But that's why I try to differentiate. Like when I talk about Tyrese, for instance, I if I say playmaking, I mean passing. I strictly mean passing. So if I say playmaking, please do not get me misconstrued if I'm
So stay
talking about
passing,
guys
Ron.
like that.
Stay
No,
passing.
man, say playmaking, say
No,
playmaking.
I mean passing, but sometimes passing and playmaking it was a good time where it was I feel like we're the platform that separated those two. Like passing is not
100%.
playmaking. So for a long time, I was just used to saying playmaking when I was really just.
Hey, Ron, I've had conversations about the passing playmaking thing outside this space in other worlds. Like, what are you talking about? They just don't understand that playmaking, passing separated.
Right.
Yeah, you try to explain it to them, they're just like
ball talk to another
no
level.
doubt. Yeah, it's different. It's different.
And since we're on the subject of separating, Mars, you just did it. You proved my point. Mars, O.J. Simpson is one of the worst human beings that I've ever seen in my whole life. I don't think he killed his ex-wife. I think he killed her boyfriend too. But I can also recognize that nobody led the league in rushing 4 straight years, except the Juice. So I can separate those two people. I can 100%. You just did it with Malone.
Yeah, I always say I can give him credit. I just don't like talking about him. I don't rank him.
I don't like talking about. I do not like talking about OJ. I don't. But when we talk about all-time great running backs, I can talk about him. Sure, 100%. I can.
Yeah, that's why I don't rank him. But if we are talking about him, I will say how good I think he was and what he was good and bad at. I'll do that. But he's still number 32.
I see that we got a few super chats. Drip Bayless and Jake, I will get to your $10 super chats. I still do want to put up this 2K tier 2, but I just have to ask 2 more questions while we're on David Robinson. So the first thing is I want to know, do you guys know that obviously he got his defensive player of the year. He got first team all defense 4 times, second team all defense 4 times. But do you guys know he was for 4 years in a row? Well, three out of 4 years, he was second in defensive player of the year. First year in 91, Rodman won it. So he basically lost to Rodman. Next year, he won it. Then the following 2 years, he lost to Hakeem. How are we talking about David Robinson if he reels off 4 straight defensive player of the years, or even gets another 1 or 2 in those years?
I
think he should have won it in 91, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I think the narrative around who's the ones with 4 is going to be Rudy after this year, Ben Wallace and Dikembe. They're the only ones with 4, right? David Robinson being by far the best player of that group of people. Yeah, he elevates defensively for sure. I think most people would have David Robinson as like a top 5 defender easily. I think he'd probably be considered a better defender than Tim Duncan. And he'd probably get more credit for the championship team, like 99. They'd probably view him as the more impactful defender in 99 than Tim Duncan, just based on the reputation he would have already built. And he was still an elite defender in 99. It was just the offense that was falling off. So, like, yeah, he probably gets more credit for that 99 championship and would be viewed as one of the better defenders. Yeah, he ranks higher all time for most people, for sure. Like,
he would be correct with 4 defensive player of the years on his resume, even if it's 2 or 3. We're talking, he got an MVP, 3 different defensive player of the years, led the league in blocks, led the league in scoring a year, all of this other stuff, first team all defenses, because also too, a couple of those second team all defenses, he got those because, well, he's playing with Hakeem. He's playing with Dikembe.
Exactly.
Like,
this is the thing. Back to I think Mars was low. They all said it, like based on the era. Like he got those defensive player of the years and all NBA first teams in maybe the toughest era ever to try to make those. Because he plays in 2010, he probably makes 10 first all defensive teams. What's good early. Yeah, he probably makes 10 first all defensive teams. He probably has 4 or 5, defensive player of the year. So 100%. I just think again, when we look at those accolades and kind of, and we do have to put them in perspective in terms of the era they played and the competition they faced.
Which is also interesting too, guys, because when Tim Duncan got on the crew, it was obvious that he was better than David Robinson. Like, it wasn't a question of whether or not, this was going to be a transition. Was this going to be a problem with these two guys? It was obvious. This is the guy. No doubt about it. And he actually took it that way too. Like, he clearly took a back seat to Tim Duncan, recognizing that we could win the NBA championship with this guy as our main dog. Now, it probably was difficult initially because you got this 22-year-old showing up that's now taking over the reins to do what I couldn't do. But thinking about it in the long term, well, damn, if we could win the NBA championship with this dude as the man, that does wonders for my resume. So hell yeah, I'll do it. 100% I will. But to Ron's point, So 92, 93, 94, 95. So you had a 5-year stretch. 3rd in league MVP votes, 6th in league MVP votes in 93. He had 2 coaches that year. He had 2 different coaches. I think it was 2 or 3 different coaches that year. He still finished 2nd in defensive player of the year that year. And they were in turmoil in 93. They were a joke in 1993. They still made the playoffs that year too, by the way. And they were a mess. And he still was playing. Yeah, and he was still in the semifinals. Yep. And he was still playing at an elite level. In 94, he came in second to Olajuwon. And then the next year, he won it, right? And Olajuwon came in second. So it was.
And then what about the next year? Because he came second the next year, too.
And he came in second to Jordan the next year.
It's like, right. Come on. Like,
right. He came in second. But
that's LeBron and Steph, basically.
The problem with David Robinson the problem with David Robinson is the stuff we're talking about, they don't want to talk about that stuff. What they do want to talk about is they want to talk about how Olajuwon kicked his ass in the playoffs. Newsflash, people, it was Olajuwon. Like, it wasn't Felton Spencer, right? It wasn't it wasn't a bum. It was not. It was Olajuwon who outplayed him. And it wasn't like he was terrible. He just got outplayed by a better dude. That was it. And that's what people primarily focus on, the fact that he got outplayed by Olajuwon.
And for what it's worth, Dennis Rodman didn't do much to help in that series.
He didn't do anything wrong.
I'm like, like, that's why when people like, how do I say this? Dennis Rodman on the Bulls was like, he did great things for the Bulls. But there's a reason teams didn't want him. He wasn't like Dennis Rodman was actively, it seemed like he was sabotaging the Spurs. I'm sorry, it seemed like he was sabotaging them. So yes, Hakeem, like you see how we have the Bismack Biyombo tier of players? And like Rudy Gobert is the top of the, well, Bill Russell was the top of the Bismack Biyombos. Hakeem is like the top of Hakeem's. And then like David Robinson is the next evolution. And then Patrick Ewing is the evolution below that. Like they're all like the same archetype of player. Hakeem's just like substantially better than the other two. And then David Robinson is better than Ewing. But like they're all pretty much the similar players in terms of tough shot makers at the 5, love jump shots in the mid-range, weren't very good passers, but elite rim protectors and some of the best defenders in the NBA. It just turns out the Rockets had the best version of that player, and then David Robinson just wasn't as good as Hakeem. He wasn't as good of a shot maker. He wasn't as good of a rangy defender in terms of amount of ground he could cover. He was pretty close as a rim protector. I'll say that he was pretty close as a rim protector, and then he just wasn't as good of a passer. He was just slightly worse in like every regard to Hakeem, and then Ewing the same thing in terms of how he compared to those guys. So, do I blame him for losing to Hakeem? Not so much. Am I surprised? Not so much, but Dennis Rodman just seems to be escaping blame. When if you watch that series, I don't know what he was doing.
Nobody talks about the fact that Dennis Rodman was on that crew. Like, imagine, Mars, if we had, I don't know, Kawhi Leonard on the crew with, let's see, Rudy Gobert on the crew. Imagine if we had those two guys on the team and this one guy destroyed the both of them. Like, how are we talking about those two guys as defenders? No, we're not. We're not.
No doubt.
My last question for you guys regarding number 32 and David Robinson is, how do they look if they flip-flop roles? Does John Stockton and David Robinson get one? And I know David was in his later years, so we'll go with just a little earlier David, like, you know, in his prime years. And what does Karl Malone and Tim Duncan look like?
Oh, the Spurs win in 99.
I was about to say, because Tim Duncan can move to the 5. David Robinson was not very much a pick and roll, pick and pop type of big. I mean, he could pop, but he was not very good. He wasn't as good as Malone as a pick and dive guy. He wasn't.
I mean, you could argue having John Stockton versus Avery Johnson.
Well, those two guys are not the same. Sure, those two guys.
You can make that argument.
But the difference is with David Robinson and Malone. David Robinson and Tim Duncan played a high-low game. So with those two guys playing a high-low game, that wouldn't go on with the Spurs. It would be a little bit different. It would be more Timmy playing on the box. It would be Malone more pick and pop, because it wouldn't be as clogged up in the paint. And those two guys, in terms of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, it wouldn't be that. It would definitely be more spread out, especially off the strength that Malone could knock down the 15 to 17, even 18-footer.
Yeah, I mean, Malone, he was a good passer. He could. You just have Duncan in more David Robinson's role in that situation, which I think he was capable of. Duncan, underrated athleticism, especially early on.
Where's the
think
knock on Tim Duncan's athleticism? Like we talk about Tim Duncan like he ran like he had a piano on the track.
People remember like the 2010s Duncan where he wasn't moving the same. But light-footed Duncan, like 97 to like 03,
different.
He was moving.
He was a world-class swimmer. That's who Duncan was.
Duncan was jamming on that.
He was a high flyer. He wasn't a high flyer. He was
jamming back then, boy.
He wasn't a high flyer, but he was tremendously agile and had some of the longest arms I've ever seen. So like he was just moving like Slender Man, just dunking over people. Like so, yeah, he was very, very good athlete. Very good athlete.
To Rod's question too, if Robinson and Malone switch, I don't think the winning changes. I still think Utah probably doesn't win any championships. I think San Antonio wins the same amount. They're close enough players. I just think maybe Robinson probably has a few more points. I think playing with Stockton, I think his points, his scoring probably gets a bit of a jump.
Oh yeah, maybe his 70-point game would have counted too, because I don't count that 70-point game he had in San Antonio.
Why not? Because it was against the Clippers.
Because A, they were force feeding him, and B, the Clippers took all their guys out the game and let him score. I'm not moved. I'm not moved. They literally played their starters like 15 minutes. Like, I'm sorry, that game does not count. No, I don't care about your little 71 points. Him and Devin Booker's 70-point games do not count to me at all. They're the bottom of the barrel of 70-point games.
One of my best friends, Ron, his name's Terry. The head. He was actually on that Clipper team when David Robinson scored that.
Guarantee he got more minutes that night. Right?
He did. He wasn't a starter, but he I think that was his rookie season.
But guarantee his minutes went up after that game.
That was his rookie season, and he said that we had no chance in stopping him, so we didn't try. He said that to him.
They needed them, but he needed them all 70 to win the title, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
all 71.
Everyone was aware of what he was trying to do to get that scoring title. They were all in on it.
Doesn't that make it a little impressive though? It's like I got a feet and I know I have to cross this line.
Everyone knows you have to.
When everyone's assisting you to do it, no.
Hold on. How many points did he have to score that night?
He helped him out too?
How many? I don't think he had to score 71. I don't know.
He didn't have to score 70. I don't
know how many he had to score, but he had to score substantially more than Shaq did.
He made sure he was getting it. He made sure.
He left it because Shaq played before him, so he knew what his target was. I can't remember what his target was. It wasn't 71. I know it wasn't that, but he had to score more than what Shaq did the night before. And Shaq had
to go out there and get 71 though in that fashion with the scoring title on the line. I mean, it's just I get what you're saying, Mars, but just imagine today you got Luka and Joel Embiid. Let's say Joel's healthy. Luka and Joel Embiid is going down to the wire. It's to the very last game. Joel scores 35. He's at 35, and Luka's at 34.7, and Luka is averaging 34 right now too, by the way. I don't think we're acknowledging that. But let's say Luka comes out and scores 71, and let's say it is against Jordan Poole in his game.
If the team lets him score, you're impressed about that?
Were they letting him score?
Yeah, what's letting him score? That whole letting him score.
Go watch the game. Sorry, like the game is available because it's David Robinson's like
70-point game.
Go watch the game. And I'm not saying the 70 doesn't count. Of all the 70-point games, his is the worst. Him and Devin Booker have the worst. Devin Booker for a different reason. Because he was down 40 and scored 28 in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. I don't care about that. He wasn't on track for 70, played the whole fourth quarter in a game you're down 30 and scored 28 in the fourth to get 70. Good for you, sir. Nice. You scored 70. That one, I don't care. David Robinson, I don't care because for a different reason, the Clippers decided to not play their starters, play one coverage the whole game, and let David Robinson do whatever he wanted to do. So of all the 70-point games that I've seen, so the Wilt Chamberlain ones I haven't seen, sorry, his is the worst. It's still 70, but him and Devin Booker have the worst ones. Now, Devin Booker's is by far the worst, but David Robinson's the second worst. But it's still 70.
Having the worst 70-point game is fine. Like, it's
exactly. Having the worst game is like, you're the worst MVP. I mean,
exactly.
It's still an MVP. Like, so I'm not saying, the game just means nothing. He still scored 70. But of all the 70-point games, so Kobe's, Luka, what's his name? David Thompson. Who else has scored 70?
Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor.
I haven't seen those games, so maybe they're worse, but I haven't seen those games, unfortunately. Of all the 70s, his is him and Devin Booker have
Mitchell Robinson, Dame,
Donovan Mitchell, yeah.
Right.
And Donovan Mitchell's is also like third worst.
Questionable?
But not questionable. I don't think any 70-point game is questionable. It's still 70. But if I was ranking them, his would probably be third worst. That's what I'm saying.
All right, fellas. What's good? Cruiser, how you living today?
What's going on with y'all boys, man? What's going on, man?
For the record, Mars, David Robinson finished with these many more points than Shaq that year. That's it.
Okay, so yeah, he needed pretty much
all
everything.
okay. Yes, that's how many points he needed. He edged them in the scoring championship by 0.5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him, though. Shout out to him. Still 70. I'm not saying it doesn't count, but bottom of the barrel of the 70-point games.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to everybody watching the video right now. Go ahead and slap that like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. Check us out on playback if you haven't. We're getting down to the facts on playback today. Don't
yesterday,
you love
Mars was a
down
menace.
to the facts.
Mars was a menace in the chat.
Tap into open gym on playback today, man. I don't know what Jalen talking about. Open gym on playback today.
Your coach, shout out Haley, man. Had to go save her a little bit. She was there all alone, jumped in, but the chat was on Haley. The chat was on Haley.
Mars, we was just watching the game. We was just
calling her a Nazi. Calling us to say they're calling her a Nazi.
Ain't no one do that. See, Jalen, this is why you can't have Jalen up here.
Chat, this is crazy. Mars was instigated.
This is why you can't have Jalen up here.
Instigated.
Mars was Jalen, we're about to get demonetized. You can't say that word.
After what Mars was, man, Mars was instigating the chat.
This is see, Ron. You need to be careful who you let up here. Jalen will just be saying anything. Like
this is crazy.
Those words are not allowed on YouTube.
I was the defender.
I don't know what to do right now. I don't because something leads me to believe that Mars was being nasty, and I don't know how to feel about Jalen's whistleblowing. So I'm just gonna. Shout out everybody that's here again. Shout out PCmerch.com. If you haven't got a chance to go over there, go check it out. Go cop you something nice. And we have super chats.
Ron, it sounded like you walked in on a drug deal. It's only to find out that your brother was one of the drug dealers. That's what it sounded like, right? Man. That's like you don't really know what to do now. You're like, damn, what do I do about this? Like, do I blow the whistle? Like, what do I do? What am I doing here? So
you damn it, just gotta walk on, pretend you didn't see nothing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go because I'm gonna act like I ain't see what because I don't want to be involved in this. No, even though you can't unsee it, it's too late.
That's wild, Mars and Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm the bit. Okay, cool.
Good game though. Ended up being a good game.
Drip Baylor sent through a super chat and said, "How many players in the league could you replace Klay with, and the Dubs would be contenders? I feel anyone who can give you a consistent 14 to 16 points per game will put them in the Western Conference Finals. They had that game last night."
Moses Moody is right there. He's better than Klay. Just play him. Moody is right there, ready to play. But
Mars,
they
I feel like
playing this number 11
tailor-made
for no reason.
He asked how many players. You don't got to go down the whole league, but can you give us a good list of players that can replace Klay right now to only average 14 to 16? Like, we know you could obviously say,
and win the West,
Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell,
and win the West. Because by the way, that 14 to 16 got to go up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That 14 to 16.
Jalen Williams in OKC replacing Klay.
Yep.
Nah, substantially better.
Hold on, Mars. Rewind. Rewind, Mars. So, does anybody on Boston go to Golden State?
Drew Holiday and Derek White.
Okay, so both of those guys. So Derek White and Drew Holiday. How about in Cleveland?
No,
I'm not about to disrespect Klay by saying Sam Merrill, but hey, I'm considering it. So,
how about Milwaukee?
Giannis,
Malik Beasley.
No, we
reaching.
The way we're shooting right now,
we're replacing Klay. We ain't replacing a great player. We're just replacing Klay. That's that position. That's what we're doing right now, right?
I hear you.
AJ Green,
Malik Beasley goes in those stretches too. Where
now we being nasty.
Man, Malik Beasley making $2 million, man. Man, let him replace Klay.
Like, at least say Kelly Oubre. At least say Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre's cool.
Go to the finals.
Oh no, I've seen Kelly Oubre in Golden State. We good on that.
He said the Western Conference Championship. That's where we're going. So Mars,
just get there. Just get to the West.
Just get into the West Finals. That's what we're doing.
Well, it's all matchup dependent. I don't. Yeah. Hey, bring back DiVincenzo. They love DiVincenzo right now.
DiVincenzo,
the way he putting up threes, he's taking Klay Thompson shots and making them.
He is.
Anybody on Philly, Mars?
Buddy Hield, the new Buddy Hield.
Oh, they did just get Buddy Hield.
Yeah, they got Buddy Hield.
Yeah, give me Buddy Hield, man. Give me Buddy Hield.
How about Indiana? Anybody on Indiana?
Aaron Nesmith. Give me Aaron Nesmith.
How about Miami?
Give me Duncan Robinson.
No, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that.
Give me Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, we're not doing that.
Give me Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson won't play. They like to switch too much. Duncan Robinson.
Give me Draymond Green gonna find a way to make him viable.
Tyler better.
Klay Thompson can't play defense. I'm sorry. Klay Thompson's defensive advantage on anyone is disappeared.
Come on,
He
Mars.
can't play defense.
But he's better than Duncan Robinson.
The hate is
Yeah.
crazy.
No. Klay Thompson is terrible on defense.
Mars,
Klay Thompson is worse than Steph Curry on defense.
You fight that? Whoa. Do you fight that? Do you fight that?
I believe that.
Bro, I don't agree.
He's worse than Steph Curry on
Mars,
defense.
Mars trolling right now, bro.
Klay Thompson is worse than Steph Curry on defense in 2024.
Not for his career now. Remember, we talking about 2024. That's what we're talking about.
Klay Thompson is worse than Steph Curry on defense.
I don't think y'all do see what
Klay Thompson.
You dudes watch Klay Thompson. A lot of you dudes.
But he's still unaware off the ball. He can't rebound. He can't switch on anyone. And Steve Kerr's trying to use him at the power forward spot, making him look even worse. Klay Thompson provides no value on defense. None.
Why he out there?
At least
you know why he out there? You know why he out there? He out there because it's Klay Thompson. And what you see is you trying to see Klay Thompson from 2019. You're trying to see Klay Thompson from 2022. That dude is gone. He's slow of foot. He's terrible in reacting defensively. In terms of the open shots that he misses, those shots was cash years ago. Cash. He can't hit that anymore. And the reason why he can't hit that anymore, because not one, he had 2 career-ending injuries back to back. That took away from his athleticism. So his lateral movement isn't what it used to be. It's not. So because of that, the downside to all of this is you see Klay Thompson. It's like seeing, I don't know, a supermodel and thinking that she's still that. Cindy Crawford ain't what she was when I was in college. As much as I want to see her, as much as I want to see Cindy Crawford like she was when she was 28, she's not.
With that
she's
mold,
not.
That mold,
as much as I want to see her like that.
There's no way.
We're not going to act like she don't still got it.
We're not going to anything, but he's a negative on defense. He can't, like, back in the day, we was able to look past the fact that Klay Thompson wasn't great off the ball defensively. We understood that. He's going to have lapses. He's going to get cut. He's going to miss assignments. Cool. You know why we accept that? Because he's our primary defender on the ball. So we don't need to switch with Klay Thompson because he can fight through screens. He's not going to switch, and he can guard a lot of the primary ball handlers in the NBA. Now he can't stay in front of anyone. Yeah. So now you know what they do? You know what, Klay? You can't guard quicker guards anymore. We understand that. So we're not going to put you on the smaller guards. We got Andrew Wiggins for that. You're fine. So we're going to put you on some of the bigger wings so that you don't have to move your feet as well. He still can't guard. So what is he out there for? Because now he has to guard off the ball. They be putting Klay on the weakest offensive players. I've been seeing Klay on Amir Coffee blowing assignments. He can't do anything on defense. And then you say, Klay, even if you can't guard, at least stay back for a rebound. Go get a rebound. Guess what? He can't get rebounds. He doesn't do anything. He's just out there being a straight negative on defense. But hey, 4 rings, got to play. 4 rings. Like, no, get on the bench. He's bad. I'm sorry.
Well, they should have traded him then, I believe.
They should have. That's not no nonsense.
I'm sorry. Klay Thompson, Hall of Famer. One of the best shooters to ever grace the planet. And his peak, one of the better guard defenders in the NBA. This Klay Thompson, especially if you do value for money, is one of the worst players in the NBA. If you factor in the fact he's making $40 million on top of what he's giving you, he's one of the worst players in the league. Now, just in general, is he one of the worst players in the league? No. He's probably in the bottom 50%. There's a lot of players better than Klay Thompson. A lot of them.
And when you see these, and the downside is when you see these crews together like this still, it magnifies how bad a guy is because you want him to still be like he was when they were together in their heyday. Only except they're not like that anymore. And now it just compounds how bad he is. So they missed their opportunity to move on.
And I do feel bad, like, I guess being this animated about it, because a torn Achilles and a torn ACL is impossible. Like, the fact that he's managed to come back and he's still, 38% from 3 or whatever on high volume. I mean, like, shout out to Klay. The fact that he's still able to play in the NBA, shout out to him, because there's not many people who I think could come back from that injury, especially at his age. He was like 30 when he tore his ACL, tore his Achilles at like 31. So, like, that's difficult. So I want, like, and I know the rehab must have been crazy, what he was going through in order to try and get back on the court. Unfortunately, he's just not good. Unfortunately, like, he's not good. But I'll never question his work ethic or his love for the game. I'll never question those things because it's very easy to give up if you have back-to-back borderline career-ending injuries. Some people just be like, clearly it's not meant to be. I'll retire, because anyone who's been injured, and I've never torn my Achilles or torn my ACL, rehab is the worst part of injuries by far. He had to do that for 2 years, so I can empathize with empathize. I can empathize with that and understand. Like, look, what he's had to do to get back on the court is amazing. Unfortunately, he's on the court and he's terrible.
He can't even play 4 quarters no more, man.
Some people are in denial about how bad Klay Thompson is. Some people think it's a slump.
It's not. It's
beyond a slump, because this goes back to last year.
Mm-hmm.
If it's been a year of you playing this same way, Mars, I remember when you first started getting on Klay's case. It was like, Mars, give the brother a chance. Relax on him. And the same things you're saying today is literally the same things you were saying a year ago. I'm like, Mars, chill. He'll get it back. He'll get it back. He'll get it back. Yeah. I'm saying this month after month after month. Now, at this point, it's gotten to the point where, and this is the biggest thing for me, if he is playing defense worse than Steph, it's no way you should be on the court. No way.
You can't even play in the fourth no more. They going.
There was no reason, especially last night, because Moses Moody came in and gave good minutes, and then they went back to Klay Thompson for reasons I can't understand. Besides,
because it's Klay, Mars. That's why. For no other reason.
No other reason besides the fact that he's Klay Thompson.
That's it.
Like, Moses Moody gave good minutes, and he played like, I want to say 10 minutes. Gave good minutes, was playing defense, playing Golden State basketball. What you would like from your 2 guard at Golden State. Podziemski played great. He closed the game. Cool. Jalen, you know that foul at the end of the game where you and Haley were saying, "Oh, Podziemski is a rookie foul." That was Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson did that foul. He's in year 13.
That was not Paul.
That's not a rookie foul. It's Klay Thompson.
No. Yeah, that's tough.
So, like,
and the rebound to the last
type of stuff is unacceptable.
They had a chance to get a rebound to try to tie the game after, and it was Klay.
And then he didn't get it.
He didn't get it. Yeah, no.
And so it's like,
and I think we also discount
what he's doing. I don't know what he brings to the table. I'm gonna be honest. He doesn't even have the same impact in terms of we can't leave Klay Thompson open.
No.
Yes, you can. Teams aren't guarding him like they did a few years ago, where back in the day it was if Steph's on one wing and Klay's on the other wing, we're giving up an open layup. Right. Now teams are helping off Klay, comfortable. It's like Klay can make it, but we don't view him the same way anymore. He doesn't provide that no more.
Cheating, close out late. Cheating, close out late.
Yeah, like that's what it is with Klay. Like, I'm sorry, like you can defend him the same way you defend Moses Moody. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same impact anymore. And he was never good around the rim. He's even worse now. And now he can't go to the basket because the only way he could get layups back in the day was off cuts. But now teams are playing lower on him than they used to. So he doesn't even get his cuts as often. And he still can't pass and he still can't dribble. Like, oh man.
This isn't as much as I would like to disagree with you, Mars. I can't. As much as I would like to say, Mars, wait a minute though, he can still shoot the long ball because he's shooting almost 40% on the long ball. When I think about the shots that he's getting, he's still shooting the same shots that he was shooting 5 years ago, and it just doesn't look the same. He's not getting the same looks. He's not getting the same lift on his shot. I didn't think that I would see the day when Klay Thompson was getting left open. Like, you don't leave Klay Thompson open, do you? Only except they are leaving him open. So with that being said, we have to remember that he didn't just have 2 season-ending injuries. He tore his Achilles recovering from a torn ACL. Like his ACL wasn't healed. He was recovering from that, and in the process of that, tore his Achilles. For most people, I'm done. I'm gonna hang him up, and I had a great career. I made enough money. I'm good. He came back, which I always felt like this was to the Warriors' detriment, which is why I think that when they won the NBA championship, I think that this was the beginning of the end. Because one, they rushed him. They didn't have to rush him. Jordan Poole was playing great in the starting lineup. They could have kept Klay Thompson, not just only on the bench, they could have brought him back slowly, only except they rushed him and it screwed up Poole early. He got it back together as a rotation player. But then after they won it, you had the incident and everything else went to pieces.
What you think this is where the politics get into it at, I think, too. I think Golden State, Steph Curry, and Steve Kerr, man, just as an organization, period, I think they struggling just as hard to deal with Klay because what they done did. You know what I mean? Together as a unit. So that's what's making it so hard. And I think Steve Kerr having a hard time coaching, or like Mars saying, putting Moody in because of how can he get Klay back if he just sit him on the bench. We just seen last week Klay was tearing up the sideline because he ain't playing the fourth quarter. Man. You know what I'm saying? So he had to come back. I think there's a lot of politics involved in that too as well. I think it's tough to be coaching that team right now.
You being a football, you being a football guy, you can appreciate this. Yo, you got to take the feelings out of it. At some point, Emmitt Smith ain't what he used to be, and I got to get with this workhorse back. I know Emmitt been here for 10 years, and he's been awesome. But at some point, Emmitt got to take a back seat, and I got to take the feelings out of it. And that's what's going on right now in Golden State. 100% that's what's going on because they basically grew up together. Klay Thompson, Draymond, Steph, Steve Kerr, his first head coaching job. In fact, it's his only head coaching job. They basically grew up together. And now this thing is coming to an end, and we see the deterioration of one guy in particular, Klay Thompson. Like, Draymond is still really good.
No, definitely.
Draymond is still good at what he does. Steph Curry is still a top player. Klay is the family member that's dying, and it's hard to let go of him. That's what's going on right now.
Another thing too, though, Chill. But football, you know this, Chill, is different than basketball. Football is straight cutthroat committee. Basketball, more players run the jump. Football, you done. You feel me? They cutting you. They don't kill. Basketball is a little different. They let you hang on and jump like that. Football, way more cutthroat, bro.
On the spot.
You're gone.
On the spot.
It's always going to be hard to break up a dynasty. I mean, Jerry Krause did it with the Bulls after they won. I mean, I'm adamantly of the belief that after the Warriors won in 2022, they should have. I've been saying Klay's washed since he came back, but I was willing to give him the leeway of the first year because understandable. Last year, like me saying Klay's washed is not a this season event. Everyone who's been watching, I've been saying it last year when he was shooting 40% from three. I was still telling people he's washed. So the fact that his percentages have dropped or whatever the case may be, I was still calling him washed. So this has no bearing on me. I knew they should have got off of him. But I understand when it's a dynasty, it's like you're always going to have that, call it irrational confidence that we just need one more run. We can get one more run. And then 2 years pass and it's like we can still get one more run until everyone's gone and you're like, okay, we didn't get one more run. But like that's how they're going to view it. And I think it's always going to be hard for like a GM to break up a dynasty on time. I'm of the belief that the Bulls broke it up on time. I think Scottie Pippen was declining. MJ was still MJ, but Scottie Pippen was declining. Dennis Rodman was
even MJ was declining a little bit. And if Scottie Pippen play game 7, they lose.
So yeah, there's just
Scottie Pippen was done.
It's hard to know the right time to break up a dynasty. Not many teams have got it right. Yeah. But I don't blame the Warriors for that. I understand it. But
Mars,
if there wasn't emotions involved, Klay would have been gone a while ago.
Yeah. And Mars, this conversation is going to get even worse because of what I just told you 20 minutes ago. They have a very favorable schedule coming up after the All-Star break, and they're going to run off a bunch of games. In the process of them running off a bunch of games, Klay Thompson is going to have a couple of games where he's good. Yo, the dynasty is back. We're back in the middle of this. And watch what's going to happen. I'm telling you, Mars.
It's going to happen.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think the Warriors kind of alluding to the super chat when he was like, who do you replace Klay with and they can make it to the Western Conference Finals? I don't necessarily know if they can make it to the Western Conference Finals, but I think they are still a very good team. You still have Steph, still got Draymond. Y'all know how I feel about
Ron. Steph Curry is telling us this is an average crew, especially when you see what they look like when they go up against the better teams in the league. We see what they look like.
This is what I'm saying, though, Chill. This is with Klay Thompson. If you replace Klay or even put Moody in, they take a step forward. Maybe 2 steps forward, depending on the player you replace him with. If you just take him out the rotation and just play Moody, Kuminga, and Wiggins, and even B-Pods, I think they're a much better team. So you replace his negatives on offense, on defense, all of that. So I think that they're a better team at that point. With that being said, I don't think the dynasty is necessarily over. I just think you have to move on from Klay. Steph is still very good. We all know that. Draymond is still Draymond. We know that. The other players are still the other players. You just got to find another replacement for Klay or just get off of him.
Klay off the bench, I think. I mean, if you want to give Klay 20 minutes off the bench a night, I think
he said he'd take a reduced role.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think that'd be okay. 15 to 20 minutes.
I think last year, I think they done dug themselves so far of a hole this year. So either way, look, the way it's looking, they gonna probably be a play-in team. The way it's looking, because the top of the West is so they so far from the top. You know what I mean? So they probably gonna be a play-in team. So right now, the way it's looking, they gonna either have to play. If they was to stop, they're gonna have to play Lakers. I don't think they beat the Lakers. It's just gonna be another thing they do what they did to them last year. They're just gonna make Steph Curry a point guard again, and they're gonna have to put the ball in Steph Curry's hands again, and he's gonna be less effective because he's more effective off the ball. If you got the ball in his hands all game, that's not what Steph is most effective at. He's most effective where he can run around, roam, and do all that stuff like that. To me, that's just what my aspect. And then last year they got the Kings, which they was kind of the same team. They had to win in Game 7. Steph had to go for 50. I just don't think. I think the West is too much better this year. I don't see the injuries that you had last year in the West from top to bottom. Most teams are pretty much healthy through the West. Man, it's just. I think they should have just moved on for Klay, man. Moody, they young. Now, if they say, for instance, just say OKC gets the 1 seed and Steph them squeak in and be the 8th seed, I think they could beat the OKC at the 8th spot in a 7-game series.
Nah, I think the only team they could beat is the Pelicans.
I
still think the Pelicans beat them.
Yeah, I don't
think
think
the only team they can beat is the Pelicans. Every other
they
team,
make playoffs, I got them getting bounced in round 1.
Unless Steph goes nuclear.
Early year, like
I got them getting bounced in round 1. I don't got them losing.
Steph can get you a game off the strength of Steph.
Right.
But
that's the problem, though, Moss. He could get you a game. Who else is going to get you more games?
You got to get you all 4.
Damn. Yeah.
Moving along, fellas, on to the next super chat. We got one from Jake. Jake said at this point, I feel like even if the Mavericks were a top 2 seed, they still wouldn't give Luka the MVP. I hope he doesn't end up like Kobe, where we look back and say he should have gotten more.
Why wouldn't Luka win it? If with Luka doing what he's doing right now, right? With Luka's doing what he's doing right now, and how good that team is, adding Daniel Gafford, adding PJ Washington, what he's doing right now. If the Dallas Mavericks end up as a top 2 seed, why wouldn't Luka win the league MVP? We're talking about a 35, 10, and 8 guy. Give me legit logic why he wouldn't win the league MVP. And they're the number 2 seed. I can't hear
the media don't be rocking with Luka. I'm gonna be honest.
Even if
I ain't been paying attention to it that much, but I be seeing some things. I'm like, even if you don't like him.
Even if you don't like him, Oz, they did the same thing with Brian in 08. They did everything they could to keep that league MVP away from him. They wanted to give it to Chris Paul so bad. So bad they wanted to give it to Chris Paul, but they couldn't keep it away from him. And in a situation like what he's talking about, where they're the number 2 seed, I have a difficult time, and I think Joker should win the league MVP. But if Dallas finishes second, I'm having a difficult time seeing how you could possibly keep the league MVP away from Joker.
They finish seconds and it's OKC at 1. They'll give it to Shea.
It might be Shea. To what Mark said, I just don't. It's so weird to me. Luka has everything to be that face of the league. Like I think his game is great. I think it's exciting. Even though they play too much above the rim, the step back threes, midway, it's still an exciting game to watch. I think, as I said, good looking guy, easy to push for the league. He seems like good personality, charismatic. I'm saying those things matters. Yeah. So to me, he has everything the league needs to push. So I do wonder when they look at the media is not pushing him like I think they should. The narrative, for whatever reason, isn't there. But again, if he's a 2 seed, I think he for sure should get it. He's definitely, I think he's just a better player than SGA. If OKC is 1, I get the logic for SGA. I'd still rather give it to Luka. But yeah, it is weird how the league isn't pushing Luka, I think, to the level that they probably should.
And it has nothing to do with him being a Euro. It shouldn't have anything to do with him being a Euro, because the best players in the league today are international players.
I don't think it's that, because they be showing Jokic love, and Giannis is.
They think Luka is a crybaby. Let's just go and put it out there. They think he's a crybaby, man.
If we keeping it a bean, if we keeping it a home,
that can be true. But the way, because I try to stay away from the mainstream media, because I don't like them for what it's worth. But I see clips or whatever, and I'm like, and it's always the same guy. This what's his name? The white guy, the fat white guy.
Brian Windhorst.
Him. It's always him just hating on Luka. I don't know what it is with him. He's just hating on him. Man. Embiid scores 70. All I hear is the media going crazy, praising Embiid. Rightfully so. Luka scores 70 the next week. What happened to defense in the NBA? What happened? We need to change the rules. Defense is not good enough. Like, what? And then all of a sudden, no one wants to play with Luka because Kyle Kuzma don't want to go there. Kyle Kuzma?
Speaking of
What?
What are we doing?
Like, there's
Right?
no, like, you guys just don't like the guy. Like, there's no way because Kyle Kuzma and Spencer Dinwiddie didn't want to go to Dallas. No one wants to play with him. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you guys just don't like the guy for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he's ball dominant. Maybe it's because he's putting up numbers that are comparable to your favorite players of all time. I don't know.
They loved James Harden back in the day.
Like, come on, like, there's no way. Like, they just don't like the guy. I don't know what he did. I don't know if they don't like his play. So maybe it's because he cries too much.
Yeah,
maybe it's because they don't think he plays defense. Whatever. Like,
but that's
Luka's
all they
kinda
say. If
cocky
you watching
too.
the games, that's all they
He's
talk
a little
about.
arrogant. I personally, I like it. I like when you give
but when
somebody
Steph
a bucket
Curry's
and
doing
laugh
no
at it.
look threes and doing night and all this, oh, we love
It's a
Steph
little
Curry,
different.
baby
It's a little
face
different though,
assassin.
Mark.
Right.
But Luka
You're-
Doncic, how dare he do something after cooking you 17 different times on one possession, hitting a step back three? No, you gotta stay quiet, Luke. Like, no,
Yeah,
man,
the Luka hate don't make
like
sense.
him.
It don't make sense. Luka hate
They just
doesn't
don't
make
like him.
Yeah.
Like,
Hold on,
if
though,
he
but listen,
wins,
though.
I feel
All right,
like they're
look,
gonna
look.
find a way to discredit him. Like, they
This
just
is what
don't
I'm
like
saying
him.
though. Look. So as we talking, okay. I think Chill answered the question saying somebody in chat said if he was a 2 seed, would they give it to him? Okay, let's take the seeding out of it. Is Luka having an MVP season?
Yes.
Just without
Absolutely.
seeding?
What?
100%
Yes.
he is.
So that's what I'm saying. So
Yes.
why if he's obviously since Joel Embiid been out, after that, if he's been the most dominant outside of Joel Embiid this year, why can't he get it from the spot he at?
They'll say seeding, but I mean,
That's what I'm saying, though. But
Jokic
all us
won
agree
one
that-
of the 60.
All us agree that, say for instance, they go to everybody up top just fall off because that's what has to happen, and they climb up to the 2. Now we give him the MVP, but obviously he was doing that before at the 7th spot. Injuries, they done had all these different lineups, and he still got him in that position. So obviously he's been carrying. So I don't think the seeding it does matter because that's what it's been our whole life.
Right.
But I don't think that as always should have been the seeding. You know what I mean? The circumstances.
Well, when it matters when you're talking about the league MVP. Unfortunately, for a lot of guys,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a fan of a dude winning the league MVP in the 8th spot or the 7th spot because essentially, and I said this about Kevin Love, you know, somebody got to lead a bad team in scoring, somebody got to lead a bad team in rebounding, somebody got to lead a bad team in assists. So, does that mean that Dallas is bad? I don't think that they're bad, but is Luka the most valuable to his team's success, or is he more valuable than Joker is? Because what I don't want to do is I want to differentiate I want to differentiate the league MVP with the best player. The best player in the league isn't always the league MVP. That's the downside. The flip side to that is sometimes he is, and sometimes he is the most valuable to his team's success. Joker is, I think he's more valuable to his team's success than Luka, considering everything the Joker does.
Yes, sir.
When they take him off the floor, how they run the offense through him, with him not being as ball dominant as Luka. But that doesn't take away from how good Luka is. His ability to distribute, him rebounding, him scoring the basketball, right? Him keeping his team in games. I won't argue that point. But when you're talking about being the league MVP, it's not just the best player. That's the difference in football. Like football, it's the best player on the best team. That's essentially what it is. In baseball, it's the best player. In basketball, sometimes the criteria gets a little bit tricky. Sometimes it's the best player on the best team. Sometimes it's the guy who's the most valuable to his team's success, but he ain't the best player in the league. So it gets a little tricky sometimes.
It does. He should win it though. If they finish second, I think they'll probably give it to him over Shea.
They ain't winning. They ain't going to second. They had a 7th spot now. 8.
I mean, hey, look, Denver dropped
one
one.
game back to 5.
Yes, I mean they can make a run.
And Denver's having that little run where they can't play basketball.
Yeah,
No, they
I
can't.
don't know what's happening with
And
them.
Dallas have won 6 straight, by the way. They won.
And
the last
PJ
6
Washington
straight.
is a much better defender than I thought. Charlotte tricked me.
Charlotte to do that to you, man. Charlotte.
play
will
PJ
Charlotte?
definitely-
Washington play defense.
We'd assume everyone in Charlotte's bad
I tell
defensively.
this to you guys all the time, though. It's easier to play with better players.
Mm.
Brother, if you're a good player, you will look better in a better environment. All right, chill. Great chicken analogy. Hey, if you running with some street rats,
Street rats is
look
crazy.
the best out of the street rats, but you still gonna look dusty.
I look a lot cleaner when I'm with a better chick.
A
When I'm with a
whole
better
lot
chick,
cleaner.
I look a lot cleaner. when I'm
We
with a
all
better chick.
know that crew. Even the one that don't
do.
look the best. It's
Yes,
like,
I do.
all right,
She
well,
went
she
to
in the crew for a reason.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
I look a lot better when
Jalen, I know you know.
I mean, hey, there's always one, man. There's always one.
Hey, after 6 shots, though, boy, everybody look good.
That's crazy.
And for what it's worth, I do want to say that it's looking like Luka. Obviously, we still have a whole half of the season, but at the rate Luka's going, it's looking like he's going to get his first scoring title. As of right now, he's at.
What is he at? 35 almost? I think
Somewhere close to, yeah.
I think he's at almost.
We could have had 2 people average 35 this season.
I don't think that's ever happened before. Has that ever happened?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't think that's ever happened.
There hasn't been many people to average 35. It's Harden, Kobe, MJ, and Wilt a bunch of times, and like Elgin Baylor.
Jabbar never averaged 35. He averaged 34 one year. He never averaged 35.
35 is crazy.
Yeah.
Still would be 2 people averaging 35. It's just Joel played a half a season.
Yeah, but his wouldn't count on like the thing.
I don't know, man. Do they actually need Luka's 35, or should it be a little lower?
It's a good 35. It's a good 35.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you like it's always going to be the argument of can you win with someone dominating the ball this much? I mean, that's always what it's going to be. And I know a lot of people like came to the side of you can't, especially when Kobe said it about James Harden. Like a lot of people was like, yeah, you can't win this way, ignoring the fact that the Rockets are like 95% of the way towards winning. But I mean, I don't totally buy into that ideology because I said it on Open Gym. You can't win anyway until someone shows you can win that way. I say no one said you. I always go back to Steph Curry. No one said you can win shooting jumpers all game.
No, you can't. You can't.
And
do
Steph
it.
Curry went and did it, and now all of a sudden every team needs guys who can make jump shots to win.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fine saying no one can win when you're this ball dominant. I mean, sure, maybe that's because you've never seen it. I mean, Magic Johnson was pretty ball dominant, and the Lakers were pretty fine. LeBron James is pretty ball dominant, and I mean, he's been successful. I hear people all the time say, I hear people say the 2016 Thunder should have won. Russell Westbrook's pretty ball dominant, if you ask me. Technically, Russell Westbrook's time of possession is pretty much the same as what Luka's was in 2016. So if you're going to tell me the Thunder had no chance to win, go ahead and tell me that, but then don't blame KD for folding if you think the team had no chance. That doesn't make sense. So there's been many opportunities where it could have happened and it didn't for a variety of reasons. And there's been players who have won being ball dominant. They just did it in a different way. There's been throughout history, a lot of people did dominate the ball. Oscar Robertson was ball dominant on those Bucks teams. Just because his ball dominance ended up giving the ball to Kareem doesn't change the fact he had the ball in his hands damn near the whole game. They still won.
Jamal Murray is ball dominant.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are ball dominant. So I don't like the idea that you can't win with one person dominating the ball. I think it's possible if you just build the right team. That's all it is.
Right.
Hey, I think going back to Golden State, I think Golden State got a lot of people tricked though. Like Golden State, even at their highest peak, they didn't lead the NBA in 3-point.
Yeah, Houston did every year.
At Golden State, if you go back and look at their championships, they was in at least top 5 in points in the paint. They was a 2-point scoring team. They didn't just shoot threes. They fooled everybody, man. To think because they had Steph and Klay that's all they did. They scored a lot of their points inside the arc.
For what it's worth, a lot of their points in the paint came because teams were selling out to stop them shooting threes. Like you'll watch, they'll do their split action and Steph will come off, 2 goes to Steph, and then you get a layup. It's not like their layups weren't of the drive and kick variety or the get downhill and finish. Theirs was, we're gonna get layups because you guys are so scared of us out here that you're leaving the paint open, giving us easy layups. Not many teams can replicate that. So that's why they were always so hard to stop, because you were selling out to threes and then you were giving them layups. So they were always high up in this. Like if you look at the percentage of layups that were assisted, Golden State are at the top of the league every single year because they're hitting people on backcuts. No other team can replicate that. Which is why I always say the formula for Golden State does not apply to the rest of the league. No one can do what Golden State did. Not to mention their defense was great every year, especially in the playoffs. Now in 2018, their regular season defense wasn't great, but it ramped up in the playoffs. Like you need a bunch of things to be successful. Like, are we going to say Steph Curry's only successful because he had great defense around him? No, but we can understand you got to build the team correctly. Like that's all it is. If you build the team correctly around Luka, you build the team correctly around other ball dominant guys, they can win. Is it guaranteed? No, but no ring is guaranteed. If you build a team around Giannis correctly, you can win. Is it a guaranteed championship? No, because you need luck, you need health, you need other teams to not be built as well. Like that's why I say you can't give one player all the credit and all the blame. Because Luka can play as well as he wants. If the team's not built correctly, he's not going to win. He can play as bad as he wants. If the team's built correctly, he might have a better chance.
Is that Dallas team built correctly?
Right now, they look as close to built correctly as they can be.
Yeah.
Right now, Josh Green, a hell of a like complimentary player. PJ Washington being this good in defense, that's sustainable. Tim Hardaway is a flamethrower off the bench.
Man, that man got conscious, bro.
Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. That's elite center depth if you don't have any superstars at the big man position. Derek Lively came back. Look, Gafford. So I mean, this team is dangerous.
That's really moving me right now.
Gafford is shooting over 60% since he's got on the crew, and he's averaging 12 rebounds. The rim runner and the pick and dive guy that he is, because Luka just throws the ball to the rim for him. Like Luka is not like looking for him in pick and pops. He's just throwing the ball to the rim and he's just going to get it. Which, back to Ron's point, you look a lot better when you play with better players. Nobody was talking about Daniel Gafford, with the exception of Mars. Nobody was talking about Daniel Gafford when he was in Washington. Washington was a wasteland, and you couldn't care less about what was going on in Washington. Now all of a sudden, Daniel Gafford is now in Dallas with Luka, and he looks like he's the difference in what they're doing. Now remember, they went up against a couple of teams that were inferior on the front line. Now, when we see them go up against the better front lines, I think we're going to see a different outcome. However, from a talent standpoint and from a fit standpoint, this is probably the best that I've seen from Luka for what Luka needs. I haven't seen anything better than this. And to have a guy like Daniel Gafford, to have a guy like PJ Washington, we still got to see these guys perform in the playoffs because they've never been there. But in terms of a fit, this looks really good.
Fellas, we got new members in the house. Let's go ahead and shout out everybody that's new to the show. Shout out to Big Don Rich. Appreciate you for becoming a member. Oscar Proud Jr. Welcome. Who else we got? D9. Shout out to D9, active member in the chat. Also, Rambo E 1996 is new to the show. Welcome to the party, everybody. Have you a good old ball. Subscribe and like the video if you haven't liked the video, everybody out there. Marlon said, so Mars, you off your son's pick?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a pick in the West. I'm gonna be honest. We did the start bench cut yesterday, right? For the West between like the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Suns. I said Clippers, Nuggets, Suns in that order. I don't know. Dallas, they look dangerous. I'm gonna be honest. Dallas look like they could beat anyone. The Timberwolves, if things go right, they can beat a lot of teams. The only teams that are in the playoffs right now that I actively don't believe in is the Kings, who are the 8th seed right now, the Pelicans, and I don't know how I feel about the Thunder. They're like, I believe in them less than their seeding would say. But the other 5, they all have a shot. And I mean, call me crazy, but hey, the Lakers get some favorable matchups. They can do a little damage.
Mars, pay more attention to New Orleans. And the reason why I'm asking you to pay more attention to New Orleans, because one, Zion's been healthy, and that's been a difference maker. He's going to play from where he is right now. He's going to play. He looks like he's on his way to playing 60 plus games this year. That's number one. Number two, Mars, you know how I feel. You guys know how I feel about the in between guys, right? Jalen, you got your stars, you got you got your flamethrowers, but then you got your dirty work guys. That's what this New Orleans team is stapled on. Valanciunas, Herb Jones, guys like Trey Murphy, coming on, Larry Nance Jr. Those guys are the staple on this New Orleans teams. So them they've been throughout the course of the season, they've been around between 5 and 8, and they've been hovering around 5 for most of the season. So I think that if they could get a good first round matchup where they end up seeing the Clippers in round 1, they would give the Clippers hell. I'm not saying that the Clippers wouldn't beat them, but I'm not saying that they wouldn't beat the Clippers neither. I think they would give the Clippers hell.
I do like the Pelicans. I just don't think they have a chance to like go to the finals. Every other team.
No, I'm not going that far. No, I'm not doing.
But I do think they're a good team. I mean,
they can shock a team. They can shock a team in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it would be that much of a shock, depending on the matchup. Like if they played OKC, I don't think that's a shock if they win. I've been trying to tell people about Brandon Ingram for long enough, and I'm not about to keep pushing he's the best player on the team. I mean, I don't even think that matters. But I'm gonna be honest. Anyone who's watching the Pelicans, maybe some people disagree with me. As a wing, there's not many playmakers better than Brandon Ingram. I'm gonna be honest. Some of the passes and the reads he can make
remember he used to play. He was playing point guard for a couple years. He played PG for the
He's
Lakers
up
for a
there.
second.
That's what he's up. The
Well,
Brandon
Lonzo
Ingram
was
is
out.
like a wing. Like, I mean, obviously you got your LeBron James and whoever else,
Durant.
but he's a very good passer and playmaker. Like very, very good. And then obviously the mid-range jump shot is automatic. Like you can get to that anytime in the playoffs. Now I have issues with his 3-point shot and his ability to play through contact and get downhill. So like he has flaws, but guess what? Zion Williamson have no questions about his ability to play through contact and get to the rim. So I think they complement each other well. And CJ McCollum,
That's like keep going.
in the NBA.
Keep going. And then
CJ
fourth
McCollum-
option.
And then you got Valanciunas, one of the better low post threats in the NBA. Now I hate his defense, but Willie Green does a good job of playing pick and roll defense with Valanciunas and Zion being able to like high hedge and rotate behind the play. He does a good job of that, hiding those guys. Now I think against certain matchups at the rim they might struggle, which is why I don't think they're going to go very far. But they're a very good team, and Willie Green is a very good coach, and I like them. I do like watching the Pelicans. So there's that.
I will say this about the Suns, though. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. I do think offensively, they're definitely, I think, past 10 games, probably a top 5, top 3 offense in the league, maybe even arguably the best. Bradley Beal's really come around offensively. It's just that defense I was watching them the other day is gone. Like, there's Nurkic just stepped up, but defensively, other than Durant, every other player, there's a negative defender. Grayson Allen is
They've
getting
been a top 5 defense over the last month.
Well, that's just weird because every play I was seeing against Detroit, against Sacramento, Grayson Allen's getting cooked. Bradley Beal's getting cooked. Devin Booker's getting cooked. Nurkic is getting cooked on the inside. Kevin Durant's the only guy who is good defensively. I'm telling you, they're good rebounding.
I actually seen the opposite.
They're getting cooked.
Royce O'Neal been good for them though. He's giving them what they need.
Against the Kings the other night, they actually I seen the opposite, bro. Like they were playing defense. It's just like, bro, it's hard.
They run a lot of zone. They do run a lot of zone, which is I think that's good coaching from Vogel because the man defense isn't great, but he does run a lot of zone, which helps them a lot. And then KD is like a help side rim protector.
KD's the best defender. KD's their best defender.
Yeah, KD's their best defender by
why?
Well, Royce O'Neal's there now. I mean, you could discuss that.
Now, yeah.
Well, Josh Okogie in his minutes.
Yeah,
but in terms of like
Josh Okogie been if Josh Okogie is to me their best on ball defender. But if he can continue like he's been doing lately over the last, I'd say 2 weeks hitting that corner 3 ball, that's what's been keeping him minutes so far. If he can continue to hit that corner 3 ball and shoot it with confidence, with him, Okogie, KD, Okogie, and Royce O'Neal, when them 3 on the court together, that defense been stifled. And
they won't still got Derek Okogie to shoot. So
they just got old man River though.
They did in the playoffs. So those guys are going to
what's old man name?
That
was big.
But Thad Young's not going to play more than 10 minutes tonight in the playoffs. Playoffs are still going to come down to 40 minutes for Durant, 40 for Booker, probably 35 to 40 for Bradley Beal. You know, Nurkic is probably going to play high 30s too. They'll need it. Maybe Royce O'Neal could be the guy who plays probably 35.
You just need 10.
I think they have to outscore. They have to outscore teams, which they can do. Like the way they're shooting.
Every team has to outscore teams.
No, what I say, they have to rely. They have to rely more on their defense. I mean, their offense to win them games.
All right, so moving along. Early Cofield had an interesting comment for a certain somebody up here. He said, "Hey, Jalen, you suck."
This is what happens. This is what happens when we give Early a shot. When he was down in the dumps in 7th place, I was like, you know what? Let me debate a 1v1. We took that L, but we still put on.
You lost to Early.
Talking about football. We're talking football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, football. This one thing. Hold on. Yeah. We gotta do so. We gotta get some prep time. This is right off the bat. I was so lost at one time. I'm like, what? Rookie class? Oh, it's over with. But we
I heard you say Pat Mahomes isn't that much better than the other quarterbacks in the league, so I think you just are casual, to be honest.
Nah, definitely not a casual. That's crazy.
You did not say that, Jalen. Jalen, you did not say that.
He did. I was like, what's the gap between Pat Mahomes and the other quarterbacks? It's not that big. Pat Mahomes just shows up.
If we break down real quick, if we break down the skill sets between, like, let's say a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and a Joe Burrow, you could say Josh Allen has a stronger arm. You could say that, Josh Allen, definitely faster than him, probably maybe a better runner. Joe Burrow could be maybe a better thrower, better thrower in tight coverages. But think what Mahomes does, he just gets the job done when it matters. We talking skill sets. There's quarterbacks you can say are more skilled, but in terms of better and again coming through when it matters and winning games, no one does like Mahomes.
Now Pat Mahomes is not the most skilled quarterback. See,
he's not. Everyone knows it though. That's it with Tom Brady too. Tom Brady was never the most skilled quarterback in the league, but he always got the job done.
Well, when you talk, wait a minute. He's not just getting the job done, though. That's the difference. Like when you're talking about skills, I think he's more skilled than Josh Allen. I think he's a better throw. I think he's a better thrower than Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's great. 100%, I believe he's a better thrower than Joe Burrow, and I think he's a better athlete than Josh Allen. 100%.
He's not a better athlete than Josh Allen.
And on top of that, when we get into the meat and potatoes of games, making those throws, getting in tight windows,
I'm with you with that.
Getting in tight windows, you have to be. That's where your skill set really shows. It's not just I'm just going to get the job done. No, making those tight throws on 3rd and 8, making those tight throws on 3rd and 12, or scatting for a 8-yard run when it's 2nd and 9. That's a big deal. And the fact that Mahomes does that adds to his skill set that those other guys don't have. I think he's the most talented quarterback in NFL history.
That's why Jalen's a casual.
No. It's not. I mean, you could say the talent's there, but in terms of like the gap between quarterbacks, again, why he's clearly the best player in the league is because of what he does. Like, there's things Lamar Jackson does better than him. He's a better runner of the football. He's better in 100%. So that's one thing he's better in. But we understand Mahomes is still a better quarterback. Even though Lamar was MVP, we understand Mahomes is the better quarterback. Because sometimes, like I said, because he got it done when it matters, beat him in the playoffs.
It's not just the fact that he got it done when it matters. No, man. If we're comparing brain pans, I mean, he's smarter than he knows when to make throws. He not only does he know when to make throws, he knows when to throw the ball out of bounds. He knows not to take a sack. He knows when to hit Travis Kelce on a 6-yard out. He knows when to not hit Travis Kelce or to give the ball to the running back. He knows how to operate.
What's the gap between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes? I think the skill set when they're very close. Mahomes got it done. The gap between skill set and talent. The skill set and talent between him and Burrow.
Between him and Joe Burrow, it's like this.
That's crazy. It's right. No, it's right. It's like this. It's like this.
Fellas. Today, after Open Gym, which is on playback, it will be Open Field. In case you guys aren't familiar, Open Gym and Open Field is a platform where each and every one of you guys can join the show to debate against guys like Jalen, guys like Mars and Dub, guys like this guy right here whose comment I just put on the screen.
What I said?
J-Rob as well. You can go up there and debate these guys. Improve your worth. Maybe you might get on the panel. Maybe you might get on the press box. Maybe you might get on Chill with Chill or Fluent and Chill. You just never know. You never know. But we got more super chats and we got a lot. So let's keep it pushing. Jordan's real son, and he has a picture of Anthony Edwards. He said, how does the panel feel about KG saying Ant reminds him of 80s Jordan? Are we putting too much pressure on Ant?
Yes.
I think we
Is that pressure to be 80s Jordan? Is that pressure?
I think we disrespect an 80s Jordan.
Mars, to be the best offensive and defensive player in the game. That's how good I think you are.
I think he said 84 Jordan, so rookie Jordan. That's what he said and reminds him of.
Those two things are not the same. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't think that's
now if we talking about 84 Jordan, I mean I don't think that Anthony Edwards and Jordan, I don't see the comparison. Like I said, I see Mitch Richmond, better athlete. That's what I'm looking at when I see him. When I watch him.
I don't really see MJ either, but Ant has aura. Which is why I think he's gonna end up being like he's probably gonna end up being the American face of the league. Like, I know it's gonna be Wemby, but like for the American audience, it'll probably be Ant because he's relatable the way I don't know. He just there's some whatever it is, Ant has it. Like that's what it is. It's it. Like you just see him and it's like people are drawn to him. Yeah. So he's gonna be the face of the league, and I think that's how people viewed MJ when he came in. Like, we don't get it, we don't understand it, but whatever it is, Jordan has it. Like that's what Ant is. But I don't think he plays similarly to how rookie or young Jordan did. I think
he's a more athletic Paul Pierce. I think Paul Pierce, especially his younger days in Boston, he's a more athletic Paul Pierce. Mid-range was strong. He knows how to use his body. Kind of a bigger guy. The 3-point shot kind of came later, but that's who he reminds me of. Just a more athletic Paul Pierce, which is a great player. All-star, going to be all-star every year. Probably a few All-NBA teams. MVP, we have to wait and see.
I would love for you guys to leave Jordan out of this, please.
Facts. I'm supposed to be the LeBron guy. It's disrespectful to Jordan just to be comparing him to 80
KG's been between them lines. If he sees Jordan, who are we to question?
He played the game.
He been between them lines. Who are we to say? He played against Jordan.
He played against you.
Facts.
Realist123 said, I told Chilltown on playback when the Lakers were at the Knicks that AD is by far the best defender in the league.
Chill, relax, chill, man.
I will add another statement to that. He's a top 5 player today.
Is that crazy?
It's not crazy to say. At his best, yeah, he's definitely, a top 5 player, 100%. It's just going to do it every single night. That's all it is.
AD actually might be the most slept on player this year.
I mean, there's some people who still think he's not the best player on the Lakers. So,
hey, if we really talk about impact, we talk about when it's time to get it done in the big moments, getting it done, the big moments. Who are we relying on? LeBron, Ramon, James.
AD's underrated.
I'm just saying, hold on. We're talking about creating shots, creating offensively. I mean, we still understand AD still struggles to create his own shot.
D'Lo looking like look like the season's gonna go through D'Lo. D'Lo carrying right now, ain't
he? Their best 3-point shooter. Let's get that out in the open right now. Nobody don't want to talk about that, but D'Angelo Russell is your best long ball shooter.
Man, Rui like 10 threes a game.
Rui had himself a game last night. Rui had himself that go off game last night. Did his thing.
Hey,
he need to let Rui go.
Hey, Jalen. So is they better without LeBron?
You know the answer to that.
AD right now is at 25, 12, 2.5 blocks, 1 steal. I don't think it's crazy to say that he's in those conversations.
He'd be higher in the defensive player of the year conversation if the Lakers defense wasn't stinky. But
and when you say stinky, Miles, I'm talking about like 3-day-old laundry stinky. Like, go do something with that.
Yeah,
deal with that.
They should be a better defense.
Way better than what they are. They should be a better defensive team. But they rely solely on Anthony Davis.
Man, I think they gave up on defense and say we just gonna try to win offensively. That's what he basically went to. With Austin Reeves and D'Lo in the game, he said, listen, we just gonna forget the defense. I think at first they was trying to be a defensive-minded team, and that's what was getting them trouble. Now they've been putting up points and they've been winning games. I think he don't completely said we're gonna get stops when we can, but we're gonna try to outshoot you.
Which is not gonna work because you're not that good as a shooting team. You're not.
Yeah. Hey, but they've been winning games though, Chill.
Yeah,
for the regular season, they're just trying to get in the playoffs.
I think they won 6 of their last 7. I won't argue that. Yeah, I think they won 6 of their last 7.
Chill, I see what you're saying though, Chill. I think as LeBron feel, just to me, like Mars said earlier, I really believe like just get them in. I think they can focus on what they need to focus on because we can just worry about you and we can implement our scheme. I think right now they're just trying to get wins right now because they need them right now. That's so they offense in the regular season, offense win games. Playoffs, defense win championships. And offense, you know what I mean? But regular season right now, because most teams ain't playing defense the way they need to play. Some people coming off back-to-backs. Then they got a favorable schedule. I think their schedule ain't too bad.
And on top of that, when the playoffs start, and I've had this conversation with you guys, when the playoffs start, it's a difference between me having to see Oklahoma City today and I don't see them again for 3 weeks. I get a whole week to focus solely on Shea, Gilgeous, Alexander. I get a whole week to focus on I get a whole week to focus on your rotation. Who's good in your rotation? Who's bad in your rotation? Who doesn't rebound in your rotation? Who does rebound in your rotation? I get a whole week to focus on that, as opposed to I see Oklahoma City or I see New Orleans today. I don't see them again till the middle of March. That's a completely different setup when I'm going up against guys like that. That's why the playoffs are different. I get to defend guys different. I get to scheme against teams differently. So I think that the playoffs, whatever you don't know how to do, good teams are going to expose that.
Yeah.
Ladarius said in a super chat, to add to the conversation with Klay, if you notice, Klay is still not comfortable landing on the same leg that he tore his Achilles. Mindset still isn't all there.
Would you?
That's 100%. I think when you get injured, I think Bama mentioned it in the chat too, where, when you get injured, it's a mental thing too, especially if you have 2 big injuries like that. You might never fully trust that knee or leg fully again, so it's definitely understandable.
Was it the same leg or he tore his Achilles? Did he tear his Achilles in the other foot?
I think it was the same. I think it was
he tore his ACL in his left leg.
It was his right Achilles. It was his right Achilles.
So
his left leg, yeah. His left, he tore his left in the championship. What is the left hand ACL?
Right.
And he tore his right, and he tore his right Achilles.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
Both his legs are compromised, basically.
RJ the God with the super chat said, what would be the most likely cause for the Mavs, Clips, or Suns not winning it all? Essentially, what could be their ultimate demise?
Having to play each other.
Playing each other's
Yep.
That
Yep.
really is it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Because if the Mavs play the Clippers, one of them got to go out. Like
Bye. Mhm.
same thing with the Suns, and like that's what it.
That ends that.
I think the champion's coming out the West this year. So
Man, the way Boston looking, I don't know, the way Boston looks some games, man, they just look like they're.
Excuse me.
I just seem to catch Boston on bad nights. So
Maybe.
I guess I even need to watch every Boston game or just not watch them at all because I only watch them when I'm not moved.
Hmm.
So I know JT had like 41 a couple of nights ago against
In 3
Against
quarters.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, so I didn't watch that game. Maybe if I watched that game, my opinion would have changed. But every time I watch Boston, I'm like, yeah, I'm not moved. So I think the champion's coming out of the West.
I just think Boston can beat you in the most ways. Sense they can beat you in the 90 to 80 game, or they can beat you in a 130 to 122 game.
They beat Brooklyn by 50 last
Yeah,
week.
exactly. Right. It's just one of
Yeah,
those
but
things
that's
where I think-
Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's Brooklyn. Yeah, I will say it's just like with the Suns. I don't think the Suns can ever beat you in a 90 to 80 game. Like they just lose that game because their defense isn't that good. Even the Mavericks, like I think Luka and Kyrie, like they're not going to beat you in a 90 to 80 game or a game like that. They rely so much on their stars. While a bad shooting night for Boston, they can make up for it with their defense. While these other teams, I think the Clippers can too. But I just don't think the Suns and Mavs can necessarily do that. Maybe the
That's
Mavs
valid.
now, but yeah.
I do have Boston coming out. I'm pretty sure I got Boston coming out of the East, though. Yeah, I probably got Boston coming out of the East. Yeah.
Yo, Cruiser, appreciate you for tapping in, my
Appreciate
boy.
y'all, man.
We
Cruz,
gonna catch up with you
be
soon.
easy, fam.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Yes, sir.
Big
Yes,
Wamo
sir.
in the house.
Hey, pass
Wamo.
that. Hey, pass that.
Damn, I'm not even saying he will. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh no, you know
Yo,
I
you
will.
see that look on his face? He don't want to pass.
You know
He didn't
what?
even want to pass it today. He didn't even want to pass it.
I
today.
know,
look, if I got
No, one of those days he needs it all to himself. One of those
You got
days.
Nah,
Like,
man, nah,
Sound
man.
like
I'm
that
always willing to share, man. You know I will.
saying,
I keep my mic
it-
right, man.
It sound like that good sticky icky over there today. I can't get none of that. Nah, you
Yo.
can't have none of this today. Chill.
All right, fellas. So we're gonna get into our segment of the day. Brought to you by Chilltown Hoops on YouTube. If you're not subscribed to that channel, if you're not following that channel, stop doing what you're doing right now. Go subscribe and then bring your ass right back here. But Chilltown Hoops is bringing you this segment today. Subscribe, like, watch, comment, all of the above. The title of the episode is The Suns' Big Three is Unstoppable. We talked about the Suns a little bit earlier today. Jalen, you weren't here. Damo, you weren't here. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to compare this current Big Three to some other all-time Big Threes.
Mhm.
We
Smash,
compare it to
you guys.
just KD's big threes.
Billy, what did you be like that?
They're on the list. We can start with those if you want to, Mars. We can start with those and then, dive a little deeper in. But I want you guys to know or to tell me if one, this Big Three is more talented than that Big Three, and two, who ultimately is the better Big Three.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one we're gonna rock with, we're just gonna start with KD's Big Threes, and we're gonna run over to Brooklyn, the easiest one first. Which one's better, the Suns' Big Three or Brooklyn's Big Three of Kyrie, Harden, and KD?
I think
Had they
Brooklyn's more
stayed-
talented.
Yeah,
Brooklyn's
had they stayed healthy, I think they would have minimum went to the finals. At
I
minimum.
think that Brooklyn big three clears. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Suns, but that Brooklyn big three was a cheat code.
Really was Harden, Kyrie.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page. Brooklyn's big three is probably, in my opinion, his best big three.
Mm.
I think Harden at his best is better than Devin Booker at his best, and I think Kyrie at his best is better than Bradley Beal at his best.
Well, one could argue Harden was the best player of that big three, but
Hey.
Okay.
But yeah, give me that big. There, I think they win a championship if just one of them doesn't go down, let alone both of them staying healthy. If it's just KD and Kyrie, I think they go to the finals and beat the Suns. So, and that's with Steve Nash coaching. So imagine with competent coaching. Yeah, that they're one of the bigger what ifs, big threes. Like ever, in my opinion. Because
That's
I'm
that
saying,
team
in
is
my
so well
lifetime,
built.
They went out bad.
They
That's
really
the only
did.
sad part about it.
In my lifetime, they're the biggest what if, I feel. At least in my time of really watching basketball and following it, they're the biggest what if to me. I've heard so many player accounts from just in a part of that run of teams that were going against them at that time. It was a consensus everyone knew. Like, yeah, this team is winning it. If they like this team gets there, they're winning it. So yeah, crazy how that.
you hear the Jeff Teague story about what he said about how Bryn Forbes felt the whole series?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he thought that they were losing 100%.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson said the same
convinced.
thing. Justin Jackson recently was on a podcast and said essentially the same thing. He was on that Bucks team.
That team was good too because they also still had like a bench. They still had Claxton at their center still. They still had other pieces, like good pieces. It wasn't like the big three and just a bunch of scrubs. Right. They still had other guys there who
they had Uncle Jeff on that team. I remember him.
Yeah. Uncle Jeff.
They had Mike James.
Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin was over, but he was on that crew too.
They had Bruce Brown on that team.
Mm-hmm. Bruce Brown was on
quality.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, they also were the biggest failure too. Like in terms of a what if, like
absolutely,
broke down. Oh,
now they failed for different reasons.
Yeah, it's a weird type of failure that you categorize them at.
It is. They didn't just choke.
He wasn't allowed to play because of mandates, and then James Harden was dealing with injuries, and then he didn't want to play because Kyrie couldn't play, and then he wanted to leave, and then KD got hurt. It was all over the place, and then I mean, it broke up. But that little, what was it, 6 to 8 months they were together in 21? Dangerous.
Historical.
Dangerous. Those 16 games they played together, dangerous.
Quality.
All right, got to get to the next big three. I really don't even want to do this one, but we're sticking along the trend of KD's big three, so let's get to the next one. Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Is it anybody under the belief that this Suns big three is better than that big three?
That's the wrong big three. But
I
mean, is Klay the worst player out of the bunch?
Man, we've spoken enough about Klay. We've spoken enough about
at his best. I was about at his
best. I think at his best, he better than Bradley Beal. Was
Klay Thompson at his best in 2017 and 2018?
I think he was at it. I think the best Klay Thompson was 2019.
People, we've done enough on Klay. Go watch Klay in the 2017 playoffs.
Yes, he was awesome.
No, he was not. He looked worse than Bradley Beal.
They went 16-1. Klay was not good the whole time. That's how good that team was.
Wait a minute. So the whole playoffs he wasn't good?
Let's pull up some numbers. Let's
the whole playoff, because I remember him being awesome.
Sean Livingston was on that team.
Right. I don't think he was terrible the entire playoffs.
Maybe my memory deceived.
He was awesome.
All right, cool. 2017 Klay in the playoffs. Right. 15 points per game. On 39.7% from the field.
Ooh.
And 38.7% from three. He shot 40.5% on 2-pointers in the playoffs.
That's tough. The 2-pointers.
Now let's go game by game because maybe he had a few games where he exploded. So sure. First game of the playoffs, 6 of 16, 1 of 6 from 3. 6 of 17, 3 of 8, 8 of 21, 4 of 9, nice. 6 of 13, 3 of 5, nice. 6 of 13, 3 of 8. 6 of 13 again, 2 of 4. Right. 1 of 9, 0 of 4. 9 of 16, 1 of 3. 2 for 11, 1 of 3. 4 for 10, 2 of 5. 7 of 15, 3 of 6. Good work, Klay. 3 of 13, 1 of 5. 3 of 16, 0 for 5. 8 for 12, 4 for 7. Nice. 11 for 18, 6 of 11. Nice. 4 for 11, 4 for 10. 4 for 13, 3 for 7. He wasn't good the whole time. And they went 16-1. That's how good that team was.
Right. It doesn't sound like he was terrible because I remember him being awesome in some games. That's probably what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I
remember. But when you run those numbers down, it's like, wait a minute. Was he that bad? Hold on for a second. Because I don't remember him being that bad. I don't.
Was Harrison
they were winning every game.
That's probably why. That's probably why, because they was winning. I just don't remember him being that bad.
Like, if they were losing games, it's like, does Klay Thompson need to step up? But when you run through the West 12-0, and the only reason you lose a game in the finals is because the Cavs break the 3-point record in a finals game.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going to worry about the fact that Klay Thompson's averaging 15, shooting 39% from the field.
Right.
We're fine. We'll survive. But that's why I say it's the wrong person in the big three. But I mean,
Bradley Beal could have did that and more. I'm sorry. I'm now even then I would have said that Bradley Beal was better than Klay Thompson. That's just me though. I could be deemed a Klay hater for that reason, I guess.
You said that was
I'm still
2017.
taking the Warriors, but I think the Warriors big three, I've always said, is Steph, Draymond, and KD. But I mean, of those three, yeah, I still take the Warriors just because I think the fit of Steph and KD together, with Klay Thompson being the off-ball player he was, with the better defense that KD was playing at that time, in my opinion, and Klay Thompson being a better defender than Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, helps. Also, yet another trio where you could argue KD was the second best player. You could argue. Now,
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Yeah, we're not doing
but
that.
you could argue. That's all I'm saying. You could argue.
Why are we not doing that?
I think there's many people who are arguing Devin Booker's better than
Kevin
KD
Durant
now.
in those playoffs. To me, he was the noticeable number one guy. I understood Steph was taking a step back for him to let him shine, but he was, again, defensively too. He brought more to the table than Steph. And he brought offensively. Like if you talk about the shooting, the offense brought, like it was. I give me Durant. Every big moment, it was Durant. Durant.
If you just said,
I'm just saying
what I'm not understanding, I'm gonna sit there and argue because it's crazy to me because Jalen, I believe you're the same person. I've asked this too, and in 2016, you thought that Kevin Durant was you had Steph over KD, right? In 2016, I want to say I would do that to ask you this, right?
Maybe that season, Steph Curry played better, but I think Kevin Durant's always been a better player than I have Kevin Durant all time over Steph too. Still, like I said, I've always thought Kevin Durant was better than Steph.
Yeah. Jalen has been consistent.
I could be wrong on that one, but regardless, I don't know how we can start a sentence with I understand Steph is allowing him to flourish. I understand Steph is taking a step back so he can flourish and finish it with he's just doing so many great things. Like he's the guy. Yeah, Steph had to step back for you to be the guy. I think
you only step back if you know that guy is better than him. I understand. Like I think Steph's player, just like yeah. I mean,
look, because you guys can both be fantastic drivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one, when they're in the passenger seat, isn't backseat driving. Oh no, you gotta take this left, you gotta do this.
No.
Let me control the aux. Let me do it. One person just a much more comfortable passenger. So it's like, hey, we can both drive, but when you're in the passenger seat, I hate you. So I'm gonna be in the passenger seat, so I don't have to deal with that. And we'll still have the same success and get to our destination. And I'm not saying KD's a bad passenger. I'm just saying for the sake of the analogy, maybe Steph was better in the secondary role. That doesn't mean he was worse in the primary role. But
even though KD could very well have been in the passenger seat, because remember, you got on with us. You jumped in my car. I didn't need to get in your car. I was good.
Klay already said he wasn't taking less shots. He said
Klay was like, I'm driving this car regardless. I don't care who's in the car with me. We could have Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. I'm driving. I don't know what to do.
So if Klay and Steph are the Splash Brothers, if one of them says, "Hey, I'm not shooting less," somebody got to shoot less so Kevin Durant can come in here and shoot some shots too.
Because they realize he's the best in the world, though.
Because why is he here, Damo? Because why is he here? No, because why is he here,
best in the world, Jalen?
Yeah, I gotta take that back. I gotta chill out. Yeah, my bad.
Because why is he here, Damo? Why did he get on our crew?
He came in to win.
To save you against LeBron James. That's what he did on that crew. But yeah, to me again, what D-Wade did for LeBron, did he take a step back after that first year? For sure. But he understood for them to win, LeBron needs to be the best player because he was the best player. I think Curry understood for them to win. He realizes Kevin Durant is the best player. Let him thrive and be the best player.
That's not the same thing.
I mean, even if he thought that, it seems still game
Curry's
plan.
the best off-ball player ever. You have KD, who one-on-one is one of the best scorers ever. Steph Curry being off the ball gives KD one-on-one opportunities.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's a match made in heaven. I don't think that makes Steph Curry worse.
No,
but I understand. I mean, like it was the consensus that KD was better than Steph as this was happening. It's changed in recent years because Steph's won post.
I wasn't on that train.
But I will say I've been on the show since before the Warriors won, and I was arguing Steph was the best player on those teams. So I've been consistent. But a lot of people have changed their tune on it.
Listen, all I will say is I will pull up the tapes of what I've been saying this entire time. When KD got there, when he was playing, I have stayed on the side of there's no way Stephen Curry is deemed better than you, especially when you blow a 3-1 lead to him. You join him, and now I'm going to call you better than that man.
No.
There's no way. Curry is coming off of being an MVP. Curry is coming off of a championship. Curry is coming off of a back-to-back final stint. There's no way I'm about to sit here and say that Kevin Durant, I wasn't saying KD was better than him beforehand. KD lost to him blew a lead to him, and joined him. I said, how can you be better? You're joining his
Even
team.
after he blew
And
that
then
3-1 lead,
on
though,
top of that,
Durant was a better
Stephen
player.
Stephen Curry,
you've been consistent.
I think a lot of people. Yeah, I think a lot of people.
I have no problem with Jalen because he's been consistent. KD's been better throughout.
Right.
I'm fine with that. Steph Curry's been better throughout. I'm fine with that. The people who switched up because Steph won in 2022, that changes your mind about what happened 5 years prior. I'm not.
Y'all sick in the head. Y'all are sick.
That doesn't make sense. That makes no sense.
I'll just say this last point, and then we'll move on because I'm pretty sure we got a big three to talk about. So I don't want to harp on just Steph versus KD. In that time frame, teams were still game planning to stop Stephen Curry. Even when he stepped back, noticeably, well, not even noticeably because his numbers are still fine, but even mentally, I guess, with him taking a step back so KD can be KD, teams still game planned for Stephen Curry first. I cannot say, Kevin, what team games plans for the second best player?
Solely.
And that's it.
Solely for KD.
Going into the game, you're looking at the second best player, and you say, you know what? We're going to game plan for Steph, and then worry about the best player on the team.
I mean, the reason the Rockets switched everything is because of Steph, not because of KD.
Yeah.
Because Steph Curry coming off screens is because you got to switch that. Because if you don't switch, you're putting two on the ball and it's giving wide open people. So you got to switch everything. That's because of Steph, not KD.
And on top of that, with KD getting on the crew, what that did was that expanded Curry's game. So KD, what is he? Primarily buckets. I don't know if you remember this, Jalen, but in that finals, Curry almost averaged a triple-double in 17. Getting on the glass, distributing the basketball. He expanded his game to allow KD to be more of a scorer. Not that he couldn't do that, because it was obvious that he could do that years before when they did win it. Even last year when he led the league in scoring, even that, I think it was like the year before that when he led the league in scoring. So the fact that KD got on the crew, that expanded Steph Curry's game. People wasn't just paying attention to it because KD was this unicorn who's 6'10", who got a super duper handle and can dribble and can knock down open shots. All of a sudden, KD, the nicest player on the planet, like, wait a minute, B. The dude that he jumped on the crew with was the gatekeeper. So it wasn't about getting to James. You couldn't get past this dude. That's what it was about.
I think the value he brought defensively too. I think that was the best version of KD defensively we've ever seen. Wasn't those Golden State teams?
Yep.
So I think what he did too probably gives him the edge over Steph.
All right, fellas, more big threes. We got KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal. The next big three I'm gonna go to is ways back, late 90s. We got Hakeem, Charles Barkley, and Scottie Pippen.
Yeah,
What they all like 50 at that point?
I'm good on that. I'm good on that big three.
No.
I mean,
Who
look,
we
the name brand, that name brand, Hakeem. I mean, look, a name
On
brand.
paper, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it
on
sounds
paper,
amazing.
it sounds fantastic. But if
We
you
will
saw
go
those guys in 97 and in 98, they were over.
Yeah.
Shout out to Barkley going to the team he blew a 3-1 lead to and getting away with it, by the way.
Twice, by the way, Mars. Not once did he blow a 3-1 lead to him. He blew a lead to them twice in consecutive seasons. Then jumped on the crew the next year. He did do that, Damo. I don't know if you know that.
Shout out to Barkley for being. Shout out to Barkley for being able to do that and then form a super team of the guy who he blew a 3-1 lead to. And all of a sudden he can criticize KD's decision. Shout out to Charles Barkley for getting away with that while being ringless. And everyone was like, yeah, Charles Barkley.
Charles gets away with a lot. Charles gets away with a lot of things.
I want you to imagine Giannis. I want you to imagine Giannis playing against, I don't know, the Boston Celtics and blowing a 3-1 lead to the Boston Celtics this season. Next year, the Celtics win the NBA championship. Next year, they blow a 3-1 lead to the Celtics again, and they win the NBA championship. Then he jumps on the crew the next year after that. That's what happened.
You know what? Now I understand why Shaq talked to that man like that. I get it now. I understand it. I'll talk to him that way too. He deserves it. That's crazy.
So nobody is taking the Houston Rockets big three.
No, not even close to taking
No?
that big.
Nah.
All right.
We're not moved by the 97 Rockets. Nope.
Okay. Moving along. We got a team that won a championship. 2019. The Raptors with Kawhi, Kyle Lowry, and Pascal Siakam.
Talent standpoint, it's this big three.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know
But in
that
terms-
fit,
But
defense.
Yeah, but like
I'm still going to the Suns. I'm going with the Suns big three. But
so, like Mark Gasol is such a big part of that
He was,
team's
he was.
defense. Like, their defense is a large portion of the reason they won. And Mark Gasol is not part of the big three. But then I mean,
and
what's
Nick
Nurse-
I'm about to say,
Coaching is a
shouldn't he
part-
be a part of the big three though? Like I thought he was a part of the
instead
big
of
three.
who? Instead of Lowry?
Instead of Siakam?
Nah, it'd have to be Pascal.
See,
Okay,
that team-
as long as we're fine with keeping Lowry in the big three.
No, Lowry's in the big three. He's easily in the big three. I
That
just
team
thought
was
at
just
that
not a big
time, Siakam was he not
he
relatively
wasn't Siakam
young?
yet. He was.
No,
still-
he was
Siakam
24. He was a
was
cool
there,
third
like,
option.
yeah, he was at the. He was probably that second scoring option, if I remember correctly.
But
He was a lot. He was a lot of. Siakam wasn't the Siakam we know now, where like
A lot
he's
of rim running.
self-creating. That wasn't Beyblade Siakam yet. That was transition Siakam, where he's running out, he's leaking out, getting dunks in transition, and then spotting up, catch and shoot threes, those type of things. So that's what Siakam was. It wasn't
He was
much
getting
self-creation.
downhill a little bit. A little
Yeah,
bit.
attack a closeout, get to the rim, but a lot of his
Yeah.
offense was in transition.
That Raptors team just wasn't like a big three. They were just a good team, right? It was never kind of
With
big. It was Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, big
Yeah,
three
excellent
perspective. Yeah,
coaching.
I'll give it to the Suns. But in terms of like well-oiled team and coaching and all of that, I think the Raptors are a better team than the Suns. But big three, I'm gonna go with Phoenix.
And we got lucky. KD got hurt. I mean, that Raptors.
And shout out to Patrick McCaw getting his third ring that year.
Patrick
I
McCaw,
take-
legend.
I take Mars. If they keep Valanciunas on that crew, they still win it.
And they don't get more.
They still win it.
Man,
Oh,
that's
no.
tough. That's
Yeah.
tough. I'm not sure. Valanciunas was a little bit of a.
With Ibaka on that crew, they still win it.
They did have Ibaka, huh?
Yes, they
Marc
did.
Gasol's the
Squad
whole
was
reason
crazy.
that defense worked against the Bucks. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think
They
Valanciunas-
did have Fred VanVleet.
Yes, they did.
Norman Powell. That's OG. That squad was.
I
OG was
think-
hurt in the playoffs. OG
He was hurt. He didn't play.
Okay.
I think we
Which-
go back
but,
to back.
yeah, imagine if he played.
I think we go back to back if they stay together.
But yeah, I can't go with Valanciunas. So Marc Gasol's impact defensively, I expect like that Bucks series, what he was able to do defensively in terms of using his size to trap the ball in the baseline and the corners, and his
Yes, he
ability
was.
to be that interior presence in the middle of that wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's invaluable. I don't think Valanciunas can replicate that. Now, offensively, was Valanciunas shooting threes at that time in 2019?
Not yet. Mm-mm.
No,
Not yet.
Mostly in the
Marc
Not
Gasol had that in his game too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think we need a Marcus Gasol. Yeah, we need a Marcus Gasol. I mean, Valanciunas defensively was. I mean, he wasn't close to Gasol. He was fine, but it was definitely a bit of a cone sometimes. He was getting beat a lot more. But give me Gasol for sure.
But if you look
muted,
at
Damo.
I'm sorry, Damo.
Oh, damn, I am muted. I was just going to ask, my fault. Is it fair to say whoever comes out the East that year wins the championship? Because
In
of what
19?
happened?
Between the Bucks, the Sixers, the Raptors, like the three.
Because
main
Durant
teams
got
that had a
hurt.
chance.
Because Durant got hurt, and then Klay
Because
got
of
hurt.
the injuries and
Well,
everything.
KD
I
got hurt
mean,
in the finals.
if Danny Green
That's what I'm
doesn't
saying.
undercut Klay, I think the Warriors can beat some teams.
Yeah,
Now,
they could
I
do
don't think the
some-
Warriors had the personnel to match up with Giannis and would have implemented that game plan. But they would have figured out because they had a similar style with what they did with the Thunder in 16, where they leave Russell Westbrook and Roberson. Eric Bledsoe is going to be the same non-factor. So,
I think the Sixers for sure beat them. Jimmy Butler. If KD goes down, Jimmy Butler's having his way. Still got Embiid, and then who else was over there? They had obviously Tobias.
Ben
Ben
Simmons.
Simmons.
Fourth player.
That
Oh,
was
Ben
Ben
Simmons.
Simmons.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good Ben
That's when
Simmons.
Ben Simmons was
Good
hooping,
Ben
too.
Simmons.
They had
Yeah,
nothing for the Sixers.
yeah,
They had
JJ Redick as well. JJ Redick.
They had nothing for the Sixers.
Yeah, I think the Sixers. I think they should have won. I'm gonna be honest. That was if there's a year the Sixers should have won a championship, it was that year.
That would have been
That was
it,
that
yeah.
year. It was
That
the
They
was-
lost
Jimmy
in
would've
overtime
resigned.
in Game 7.
In a buzzer
touchdown.
beater,
Yeah.
that hit
That
the
was a
rim.
travel.
beater.
That was a
On a
travel.
good bounce. On a
I mean,
good
it wasn't
bounce.
like Philly was a good team. They lost in
Yeah.
overtime in Game 7 on a buzzer beater. They were right there
Yeah,
to the
that was tough.
champs.
That was tough.
To the champs. Brought my man Embiid to tears. Brought him to
And that's with
tears,
Embiid
man.
dealing with whatever his stomach bug was and knee tendonitis in the playoffs. And he was not playing well against the Raptors for a myriad of reasons, but that's part of it.
That buzzer
That
beater
team should have won.
changed.
That team should
That
have won.
buzzer beater changed so many narratives. And B would have had a
really
ring.
did.
Jimmy would have had a ring. Simmons would have had a. Oh man.
They probably would have stayed together.
Brock would have had
Yeah.
another ring.
Oh, yeah, that would've
No,
been-
that was Brett Brown. That was Brett Brown.
No,
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 Brett-
no.
Hold on,
Brett-
Brown.
my bad.
I was gonna pick them if it was.
Doc would have never got the job. So I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah,
where Doc would
yeah.
have going.
Doc
Doc would've
would have either remained in LA.
He would have got the Lakers.
been
Oh, my
unemployed.
God.
Hmm.
No, he would have came to us probably
Oh, okay.
because we would have needed a coach. Yeah. Oh my God, we probably would have got Doc.
Shout out
So
JJ
is-
Redick would have got a ring.
Is
too.
nobody taking Kawhi, Pascal, and Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, not doing it.
No.
No,
Not
nobody.
over this big three. I'll take the Raptors over the Suns, but I'm not taking the big
Yeah.
three over the Suns.
Okay. All right. The next big three. I know you said we were going with KD's big three, so let's get to the last big three that KD had. Obviously KD, Russ, and James Harden. But at this time, though, at the time that they were assembled,
the other with the Suns. I forgot what the other option.
I mean, yeah, I think with
who's better, 2012 Russ or Devin Booker?
Anyone.
Devin Booker.
Well, I know Dom is.
I think Devin Booker.
I'm asking the others who maybe aren't as.
Devin Booker, but I think Bradley Beal is better than that version of Harden. But this is the older Bradley Beal.
I don't agree.
That's 2012.
You don't think so,
Harden.
Mars?
I think yeah, but I think the only reason people view James Harden as less than is because he was coming off the bench.
The usage, the opportunity wasn't there.
It's the same reason I think people underrate Manu Ginobili.
I don't think that was the case with Harden. Well, at least for me. My thing was his role just wasn't as big as he was playing with two superstars at that moment in time. So his role
when he was on the court, he looked.
He was bought. No, he was
bought. As
someone
someone who's watched like plenty of 2012 Thunder, because how I feel about what they should have done in the playoffs. James Harden was an all-star caliber player. He was just coming off the bench. Like I think he was better than Bradley Beal at that point. He did play well in the conference finals too. Now in the finals, it was shaky. But James Harden was there wasn't 20 players better than James Harden in 2012. Just because he came off the bench, I don't care. James Harden was one of the 20 best players in the NBA. He was a fantastic passer, fantastic isolation scorer at that time, fantastic three-point shooter, could spot up. This is before James Harden had to dribble 12 times to get a shot off. He could actually catch and shoot. He would move off the ball. James Harden would come off screens. Like, could you believe it? James Harden would do those things. And then he was still
probably the best. Two. He didn't play the one. He played the two guard.
Exactly.
He played off ball.
Like James Harden at that time. Like I understand the finals and how bad he played because they kind of did ask him to isolate a bit more than he probably should have at that time. But in general, over the course of that year, I think James Harden in 2012.
So Mars, quick question, Mars. So was he better than Bryant
in 2012? No.
Durant,
no.
Howard.
Dwight, 2012. 2012 Dwight was healthy, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Then no.
James.
No.
Paul.
No.
Bynum.
Is that Philly Bynum?
No, that's the Lakers.
2012, he's on the Lakers.
Yeah, he's still on the Lakers.
His last good year.
I'll say no.
Blake Griffin.
No. Ricky Blake?
Blake Griffin in 2012.
Ricky Blake? Wait,
no, he wasn't.
No, that's second year Blake. Second year Blake.
Third year.
I'll say no.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love was cooking. There's still Minnesota Love. Whichever was no, he was already. Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota Love.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay, Kevin Love. Yep,
Kevin Love.
Tony Parker.
That's actually probably closer than people think.
He's better than Tony Parker in 2012.
Russell Westbrook.
No. But it's close. I'm going to be honest. Russell Westbrook's close, but no.
Carmelo.
2012 Carmelo. No. No better.
Tyson Chandler.
Now, Knicks Tyson Chandler?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about
Curry? Year, Tyson Chandler?
Yeah, that DPOY, right? I think he won it that year.
I'll say no.
Dirk.
2012 Dirk. I'll say no.
Ray John.
Rondo is cooking.
That's triple double. Rondo,
yeah, that's triple double Rondo. That's triple double and great defense Rondo.
Great we'll say Rondo. That's fine. We'll say Rondo.
Dwayne Wade.
20 yet? D Wade.
Nope.
We'll give it to D Wade.
Okay. How about Garnett in 2012?
Oh no.
That's post knee injury, right? That was post knee injury.
That's like 3 years removed. Yeah. And I love KG, but he was finished.
How about Tony Allen?
No, he's bad.
No. How about Luol Deng?
Respect Luol Deng, but I'll probably still take.
I respect Luol Deng. That's UK's finest. No.
That's 18 guys. That's 18 guys right there. How about Boogie?
Boogie was better.
Wait, there's still some names he did not name. I'm surprised.
Boogie?
He was so healthy.
James Harden's better than 2012 Boogie.
Wait, 2012 Boogie is.
Damo, who am I leaving out, Damo?
Let me see. Did you say Darren Williams?
I did not say Darren Williams.
Is that New Jersey Darren Williams?
Yes,
He
that's
had,
New
he,
Jersey.
had, he had one good season with New Jersey. I know he had one.
I think that
Was
might have been the good
was,
season.
Was that his good season?
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
about to say I can double check. This looks like a goddamn good season to me this year, but let me make sure that was the good season. This is 19 a game from Derek Williams on the Nets.
Like 1911? 1911?
Pretty damn good.
Look, a pretty damn good year to me.
Yes.
11. We're talking about the 11-12 season.
11-12 season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the shortened season. They played 66 games that year.
What was he giving them?
Oh, I was, for whatever reason, showing up a different. Oh, that wasn't even the right year. This was the good year. The second year I was looking at was the down year. And well, not the down year, but just that year after. But no, 2020, 11 and 12. That was 21 a game, 9 assists. What?
He was cooking. 40
from the field, 34 from 3. I mean, I can't give you true shooting and anything really important.
I mean, the efficiency ain't great, but I mean,
is this the right year, Dan?
I'll concede Darren Williams. There's some other names you didn't say. You didn't say LaMarcus Aldridge.
I did not say LaMarcus Aldridge.
I'll give it to LaMarcus.
So when we get around 18, 19, that's when it starts.
He's in the 18 to 24 range.
That's where it starts getting tricky for him.
Yeah, I'd put him in the 18 to 24 range. Now, top 20 was probably a bit hasty in terms of I didn't think about it, but he's in the 18. I'm confident he's in the 18 to 24 range.
I feel you because once I start saying Brandon Jennings, then we realize he's not top 20.
Yeah, we're reaching.
Like, dang.
Shout out to Brandon Jennings before the
Shout out Brandon Jennings. Facts.
All right, fellas, which big three are you taking? The Suns or OKC?
Suns.
Taking the Suns.
They were kids in Oklahoma City.
Am I factoring in the fact that I think KD in 2012 was better than KD now?
If you want to.
That's fine, yeah.
I would like to think that a 23-year-old is a 23-year-old MJ better than 35-year-old MJ?
35 is 98, right?
Yes.
And 23
No.
MJ
Rookie season?
23
was 87?
That's 87. That's 37 a game. First team all league, Jay.
I mean, with MJ, I think it's closer because whatever the case. But I mean, KD.
I'm taking KD right now.
Yeah, I think it's close. I said that, and then I'm thinking about him like KD in 2012. The playmaking was kind of cooked. Like he was not comfortable playmaking out double teams. The handle was still shaky, but his ability to get downhill was far superior. Yeah, I'll probably go with the Suns. More so because I think Devin Booker and Russ is pretty close. Plus fit, just better shooting and whatever the case, all of that stuff.
They were kids. That's why KD was 23, Russ was 22.
Yeah, I'll go with the Suns.
Yeah.
Wait, will I go with the Suns? Maybe. I don't know. It's close.
Moving along to the next duo, we have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal versus Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Jeff Hornacek.
That's like a big 2+1. That's a big 2+1.
That's a big 1+2.
Oh shoot, we're getting real disrespectful.
Give me a talent perspective. Give me the Suns big three.
Give me the Suns. Yeah, give me the Suns. Obviously, the Utah Jazz. They made a few runs, but give me the Suns' talent perspective.
No disrespect.
I'm taking the Suns.
Durant better than Malone.
Hornacek was cool. He was a nice third option in terms of what he could do. Especially
he ain't no Bradley Beal. Yeah, he ain't no Bradley.
But I mean, you asked Jeff Hornacek.
Kevin Durant today. Hold on. I want to make sure I heard you correctly, Jalen. Kevin Durant today in 2024 was better than Malone in 92.
I didn't say that.
No, I did. I know. He might. Okay, yo, you right.
Wait, Jalen, you said that?
Hold on. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. You're okay. Prime.
Nah, stay on it, Jalen. Stay on it. Stand on it, Jalen. Come on.
We're not doing that.
Stand on it, Jalen.
Hold up. Prime Malone. Sure. Hold up. Prime Durant better than Prime Malone. We'll say that. But obviously, yeah, all the Durant, this version of Durant versus the best.
So which big three are we talking about?
Which Jazz team are we talking about?
I'm doing 98 Utah Jazz.
Hornacek got there in what? 95?
He was in the Barkley trade.
Okay, so
the next year he got there in 94. He was in the Barkley trade. He went to Philly, and then the next year he ended up in Utah in 94.
So what year 94. Were you using?
So any year from 94 to 98 would make sense, but Stockton kind of started declining pretty quickly in the late 90s. So you probably have to go like 95, 96, 97.
I think of all those teams, I think the 98 team was probably the best team.
Oh wait, hold on.
Was that the best? Was that the best? Was that the best? The big three was.
That was. I don't know if that was the best version of them. I think that was the best team. The best version of them, I thought, was 96. I thought that game.
Yeah,
7,
that's what I was saying. 95, 96.
That game 7. If that game, I'm not a big fan of home floor. I still think that they should have beat Seattle in that game 7. But I think that was the best version of them in 96.
Hold on. So 96, Karl Malone was 32 years old. Yeah, give me Kevin Durant today. Give me 35-year-old Kevin Durant over 32-year-old Karl Malone.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, number 32 didn't have career-ending injury. Like his age didn't.
No, it didn't matter 100%. But I just don't think he was at his best. And Kevin Durant is still amazing to this day.
Who's a better passer to you? I don't know how much you've done. Looked into number 32.
He clearly doesn't know anything about Malone.
Yeah, that's
he doesn't. No idea.
Who's the better passer?
Okay, look. Passing, you want to? I think passing they're basically the same. I'm either one passing.
See what I'm talking about, Mars? This is nuts.
Not moving too much. Hold on. Who's the better scorer? Who's the better scorer? Kevin Durant the better scorer.
Talk about them buckets.
Yeah, talk about the buckets.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
We can talk about buckets.
Hold on.
What the hell?
Better score 100%. Karl Malone's rebounding wasn't totally what it was either. It wasn't at his peak. It was cool. Defensively, it wasn't Karl Malone's best.
He was better than KD.
Hold on. Again, playmaking, scoring. Give me Kevin Durant. Passing, you can say Karl Malone, but Kevin Durant's still a better playmaker.
Who's the better player?
I disagree.
Kevin Durant.
Let him hear it. Let him hear it.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with you.
I do too.
I never saying. I went back and did my homework with Karl Malone. Surprised the hell out of me. I didn't know his game was like that. I don't know why I had this perception that Karl Malone was just like Zach Randolph, but chiseled. But no, he was genuinely he was finesse like crazy.
Yeah, he was good. I just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I give credit for that. I went back and did my homework. I don't agree with Jalen, but I love to see people stand on business. So I will encourage and instigate all day.
Yo, so who we taking, y'all? Suns or Jazz?
I'm taking the Suns.
Everybody else said it. Chill. Who are you taking? Which big
Jazz? The Jazz.
Yeah, I have to stand with Chill as well.
The complementary pieces just aren't complementary enough, in my opinion.
Ain't no way we're about to
Stockton is not a complimentary piece.
Who's better, Devin Booker now or John Stockton in the late 90s?
In 1995-96, I'm taking as a lead guard. As a lead guard and primary ball handler, I will take John Stockton over Devin Booker today.
Hey, that's not why I said who's the better player.
We ain't talking about lead guard. Who's the
better? No, Mars, you're not doing that because I already know where your logic is. Because we already know what. So, okay, you know what, Mars? I'll tell you what, Mars. All right, okay, Mars. I'll tell you what, Mars. Okay, sure, Mars. I will give you Devin Booker is in 2024 is a better player than John Stockton in 1995-96. John Stockton would outplay him in the playoff series. I'm sure of it because he would do more. I'm sure of it. He would outplay him.
When did John Stockton's defense start falling off?
He would outplay him.
I know John Stockton's defense great throughout the 80s. Early.
John Stockton is not a better shooter than Devin Booker.
Who said that?
No. I'm not doing that.
Scott Padford. I would banish you if I could. What? Oh, that
Mars, you want me to get him up out of here?
He is not a better shooter than Devin Booker. You need to remain humble.
Hey, Stat Padford.
That's
Let me know how hell is.
I'll say this too. The gap between the scoring is a lot bigger than the gap in the passing. Devin Booker is closer to a passer to John Stockton than John Stockton is to Devin Booker as a scorer.
What?
I'm telling you, Devin Booker's
one of the 10 best passes ever. Devin Booker's
defense.
Defense, like I said, when did John?
I mean, it depends. If you're talking about mid to late 90s,
that's what I'm saying. John Stockton defense.
Mid to late 90s, John Stockton defensively is not moving me. I'm gonna be honest. Like he was.
Well, okay, sure, Mars. He's not what he because I believe in 95, 96. I think he was 32, 33. So he's on the other side of who he used to be. Still got some great years, but he's on the other side of who he used to be. But when we talking about
Devin Booker on that side.
But when we're talking about a guy being efficient, I know how you guys are with Devin Booker in the mid range, how you are with Devin Booker being able to create his own shot. Absolutely. But Stockton at that point does a whole bunch of other things efficiently too. Devin Booker, now he got to get KD involved in the game. He got to get Bradley Beal involved in the game. He got to get all those other guys involved in the game. That's Stockton's actual game. The other stuff he's doing comes extra. So basically what you're doing is you paying for a burger and you getting the cheese for free. You getting the pickles for free. You getting all of that other stuff, the fries, all of that's for free.
The fries?
Yes, you're getting it all, a milkshake, you're getting all of that for free.
Yeah, I think
Devin Booker.
well,
you get that 2
yeah,
for 1.
if you say who's better in John Stockton's role between Devin Booker and John Stockton,
That's where I'm at,
sure,
Maul.
it's John Stockton. But then I could just twist it. Who's better in Devin Booker's role? Devin Booker or John Stockton? It's Devin
Well,
Booker.
you can't twist that, Mars, because I'm not playing Devin Booker's role. Actually, Devin Booker is actually playing.
Devin Booker is a better player than Stockton was in the late 90s.
Here's the difference, though, Mars. The Devin Booker is actually asked to do what Stockton is doing.
No, he's not.
Stockton isn't asked to do what Devin Booker does. Devin Booker plays off the basketball.
Devin Booker is not being asked to be John Stockton. He's not being asked to be John Stockton. He's not.
He got to get off the pill, Mars. He's got to be the primary distributor.
He's being asked to be a playmaker, but he's not being asked to be John Stockton. Like that,
which is why
what John Stockton was doing is
right.
Like, how do I explain? Like, what John Stockton was doing is not what the point guards of today are being asked to do. Even like the best playmaker. Luka isn't doing what John Stockton did. He's not being asked to do that. What he's being asked to do is handle the ball, be the primary decision maker, and get his guys the open shots that they need. But he's not being asked to survey the floor and wait for KD to come off a pin down, or wait for Bradley Beal to come off a pin down, or run a pick and roll and tell everyone what spot they need to be. He's not being asked to do those things. Right. So he's not being asked to do what John Stockton did. He's being asked to do what he's being asked to be their point guard. Right. But the role of a point guard, as you know, and you don't like it so much, has changed. He's like, there's not John Stockton.
I've come around. Yes, I have.
There's not like even Tyrese Halliburton, who's like the closest to a true point guard we have. He's not asked to do what John Stockton was doing. Right. It's a different role now. Now, I understand Devin Booker's being asked to be a point guard, but he doesn't need to be a point guard like John Stockton. I can agree John Stockton at what he was doing is better than Devin. If you ask Devin Booker to do what John Stockton did, sure, John Stockton would be better, sure. But at what they're both being asked to do on their teams, that version of Stockton, I don't think is as good as this version of Devin Booker. Now, if you want to go like 91, 92, that version of John Stockton, we can have a conversation. I'm fine. But this version of John Stockton, when he was slower, when he was even less aggressive as a scorer, when his defense was starting to decline, yeah, give me Devin Booker.
Can we also do Jeff Hornacek? I mean, the drop off with him is incredible. We're talking about.
I'm about to say we're not talking about him and Bill versus each other, right? Like,
I think we've all factored in the fact that Bradley Bill's better than Jeff Hornacek. Hey, some people might disagree. Some people might disagree. I don't know.
Ron, don't do that.
I'm not. All right. Next big three that we got.
Hold on, Ron. You dudes in the chat, Stunner, for example, you call me biased. You ride for the Phoenix Suns. That's your crew. What are you talking about? I'm biased. Meanwhile, you riding for the Phoenix Suns. You got some damn nerve. These dudes call me names when in reality they're the exact same thing that they're talking about with me. The exact same thing.
Because you're not biased to the people they're biased towards.
I believe, Dama, we call those people hypocrites. Is that not a fact?
Capital H.
All right, y'all. Next big three. We got this Suns versus Kobe, Powell, and Lamar.
Oh, this Suns is more talented.
The Suns.
Yeah, the Suns team is more talented. Obviously, though, I think give me that version of Kobe over Durant. Powell versus any version of Kobe. Yeah, that's fine. Powell versus Booker is actually an interesting one. Powell versus
Did you hear what Rashad McCants said?
Mars, do not. No, Mars, I'm not.
What did he say about Powell?
No, Jalen, I'm out.
He said the Gasol brothers are better than
Mars. I don't listen to a word that comes out of that dude's. Anytime he talks, I'm out. I am out on him.
That's actually
anytime he's and the bad part about him, and now my blood pressure is up. Because the bad part about him is he exemplifies the idea that I played basketball, so you should listen to me. Listening to this goofy ass dude talk about how Pau Gasol and Marc Gasol are better at what they do than Joker is better at what he do. Man, when this dude talks, I make sure that whenever he talks, I'm somewhere else. I make sure of that. I don't want to hear a word out of that dude's mouth. He don't. Oh nope, I'm not.
You could say maybe as a fit. Maybe the two-way play, you can make maybe a case the Lakers are better, but just off talent alone, it's definitely the Suns. But Lamar was great, but give me Bradley Beal over him for sure. Gasol versus Booker, again, interesting. I'll probably go for Booker. Bradley Beal over Lamar Odom? Yes,
as a third guy?
As a guy who can still, Lamar Odom's not giving me 30 on any given night.
Yeah,
shoot.
but he's being asked he's being asked to be a facilitator and a secondary ball handler. That's what he's being asked to do.
No, I guess it's the role. The role thing.
And he could score too. So
Yeah,
you could get from a third guy in Lamar Odom. You could get 20 and 10 for him.
Yeah,
also 30 is harder to come by in the late 2000s. Like
way harder to come by. Not to mention,
not many people giving you 30 on any given night in that.
And I'd like to think that Lamar Odom's 20 and 10 is way more valuable than Bradley Beal's 28. I'd like to think that, especially considering what the game is today.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, especially the defense he brought to, like you said, the passing distributor role for sure. But I guess separator is Booker versus, obviously we had the Kobe, but Booker over Pau Gasol. Even that's, I think, closer than people think, though. I really like Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol, like you said, give me 20 and 10.
I'm rocking with the Lakers on this, and a lot of it's due. I can't believe it's not as blatant their skill because you got three dudes that can score anywhere. Essentially, three dudes with handles, three dudes with bags. Like we get lost in the bag talk. We get lost in that. When we're talking about Pau Gasol, one of the more skilled big men of all time. Lamar Odom. We were just talking about bags yesterday, and you guys were more high on Lamar than I was. But we all know Lamar bag. When we talking about power forwards, Lamar bag, and I don't have to bring up Kobe. That big three can travel in Chilltown. You're big on traveling. That big three can travel to any era.
You think they're a better big three? Like I said, the fit and all that, but talent wise, it's Suns. But
I don't even think talent wise.
I mean, it depends how, because I'm like, of all people, I'm pretty high on Pau Gasol compared to a lot of people.
Me too.
I think he's underrated by people who want to.
I thought Pau should
amplify how great Kobe was. I think people tried to diminish Pau Gasol because he was the secondary guy and he hadn't won without Kobe. Blah blah blah. But as a passer, he was fantastic. He was a very good rebounder. His defense improved, especially as the decade went on. I mean, do we need to talk about his ability in the post? And then his ability is like a 18-foot jump shooter, like those type of things.
Mid-range game, money.
He was
damn good in transition too. Damn good in transition.
He can lead the break. Pau Gasol can lead the break.
Yeah, let's not forget in Game 7, he went almost 20 and 20 in that game, and they needed all 20. They needed all 18 and 19 points and 18 rebounds. They needed all of that.
He was the Finals MVP of that series. I don't care if he was the Finals MVP of that series.
Oh, I've said he had an argument for Finals MVP in 2010, but you know, some people get quite defensive. But like I said, I don't care about Finals MVP, so I guess I feel more. It's easier for me to just say who I think could have got it. Like, I'm still not saying he deserved it or he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying he had a case. I think Lamar, no disrespect to Lamar, but I just think he's just a bit below the rest of these guys, and that's no just like he was very good. I just think he just wasn't as good as the rest of these guys up here. And I mean,
but think about what he brought in terms of his value, though, Mars. Like I said, you know, his ability to distribute, his ability to knock down an open shot, keep defenses honest. Not only that, and him being 6'10", his ability to be versatile defensively. Was he a lockdown defender? No, but I'd like to think that he was at least respectable, more than Bradley Beal was. Bradley Beal is more of a not a spot up jump shooter, but he was a streaky jump shooter. He was a damn good one-on-one player. But the stuff that Lamar Odom brought, his ability to distribute, his ability to rebound, his ability to speed the game up and make those other guys better. With that big three, I'm taking that Lakers big three over this Phoenix big three.
I think we underrate Bradley Beal's passing and playmaking because Washington, he was their point guard a lot of times too. He was their lead distributor, playmaker, creating for other teammates. So I think he can do that too. Obviously,
it was at the bottom of the league, Jalen. It was at the bottom of the league when he was doing that.
Sure, but he was playing with. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's
it was Porzingis and vibes. Let's be honest. Yeah, that's what it was. With Wes Unseld Jr. coaching, but I'll probably pick the Lakers, but I do think Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal is just generally underrated. Part of it is because he was averaging 30 on a bad team. So people are like, oh, Bradley Beal, empty stats. I think Bradley Beal is a very good player who people seem to.
And this year he started with a back injury, so people.
I'm going to say this year definitely is not helping his case because I think he's severely underrated, and this year is adding to it. Because of his health, he's not able to show people what he's actually able to do consistently in this third role. Whenever he's playing, for the most part, it's not bad. He's not giving you bad minutes. He's giving you good production whenever he's able to play. He looks good in the role whenever he's able to play for the most part. It's not like he's
last 10 games he looked better.
Yeah, it's not like he's looking bad. He just can't stay healthy, and that's not helping his case. In terms of the Lakers versus Suns big threes, I mean, to me, the Suns' big three is more talented, but the Lakers is better because it works together. Like it.
So I'm saying fit versus talent.
That's probably why I'm a favorite.
I think they dribble and shoot better. But outside of that, the Lakers' big three, in terms of passing, they clear.
You're saying dribble and shoot better, but I mean, that's being very vague and diminishing of what they really are able to do on the basketball court when they are dribbling and shooting. So I mean, that's fine. You can feel that way. I just feel like they're more talented.
So you got this, Ron, you got this Lakers big three, Kobe, Powell, and Lamar over the Brooklyn big three of KD, Kyrie, and Harden.
Yeah, I got them over them too.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, I disagree.
Wait, who's the best passer out of the six? Who's the best passer out of the six?
James Harden, skills wise.
Harden is.
No, I'm talking about these three. No, between the Lakers, the Lakers big three, and the Suns big three. Who's the best passer? I think that
Lamar Odom. I think it's Lamar Odom.
It's Kobe.
I think I got Lamar too.
I think
you
it's
think
Lamar.
Lamar's a better passer than Kobe?
Powell's in there too.
I think he's a more brilliant.
Kobe was a very underrated passer, especially that.
No, he was a damn good passer. I think Lamar. I don't think that we can.
Yeah, maybe if you put the ball in Lamar's hands more, you'd see more.
That's what I think.
I can hear the argument. I can hear it.
I think the three best passes are on the Lakers, though.
Easily.
100%.
Booker disrespect.
That's what Booker disrespect. I just think
Devin Booker was not close to it. Booker was not the passer that Gasol was. No, he was not.
I mean, Gasol. I actually hold Gasol really high passing wise too, especially.
I do think they have the three best passes, but I think Devin Booker would be fourth.
And I do also want to say this too. That Laker big three today would be crazy in terms of, and I'm not even, obviously, Kobe, like we don't have to go into Kobe. I'm talking about what Powell looks like at center and Lamar at power forward.
Lamar sees the biggest jump. If Lamar plays today, I think he probably sees the biggest jump in terms of name recognition.
Yeah, he would be awesome in today's game.
Yeah,
yes, he would.
No, he wouldn't. No, I'm not saying he would. No. I'm not saying I'm not saying Lamar would be good. I'm saying Kobe would have the biggest jump. Kobe averaged 38. Like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Kobe was Kobe.
Ryan might be averaging 40 a game today.
Kobe, you drop Kobe with this much space and freedom to just be Kobe. Oh my God! With how he ran the Lakers, he's averaging.
Kobe's playing point guard in today's NBA. I hope we know.
Absolutely is.
Kobe's playing point guard in today's NBA.
That's crazy. All right, fellas, I got two more for us. This Suns team, we're gonna take it back a couple of years. Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew.
This Suns team.
Talent-wise,
yes. Now, fit-wise, that fit, like you said, the Drew Holiday defense. You have, I think the way Middleton and Giannis complement each other, just with Giannis, the dominance he can have inside, rim running with his size. The fit I get, but talent-wise, it's definitely the Suns.
Offensively, I don't even think they fit that well, to be honest.
Move Devin Booker to the lead guard on that Phoenix team with DeAndre Ayton. So you move Devin Booker to the lead guard. You take, put KD on that crew, and you take their two guard. You take him off the crew, and you put Bradley Beal on that crew.
Replace Mikal Bridges with Bradley Beal.
You take Mikal Bridges off that crew, and you put Bradley Beal on that crew. Milwaukee might smoke them in 5 games.
Nah.
You forget the way Middleton was hooping.
Who's guarding on the wing? Let's start there. That's one of the main reasons why Phoenix was what they were, because Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges are guarding on the wing. So you want to take both of them dudes off the crew and you want to replace them with buckets. That's the problem that we're having in Milwaukee right now. That's the biggest problem that we're having in Milwaukee right now. And you want to add a freight train in Giannis to go against these dudes.
Yeah, Giannis averaging 50. But, I mean, we live with.
How many he's averaging about?
He's averaging 50 for sure. But I mean, Drew Holiday can't guard everyone. With Bill Booker and KD out there, like he was so impactful in the finals.
And by the way, Mars, this is pre-injury. This is pre-injury Middleton. So I think that he could deal with Bradley Beal. I ain't saying he could shut him down, but I think he could deal with him.
Yeah, but
who's dealing with KD?
Yeah, that's
ain't nobody dealing with KD, just like ain't nobody dealing with Giannis.
I don't know, man. Playoff Ayton, and we're not even talking about playoff Ayton in this situation either. That's playoff DA.
We're not talking about playoff Brook either.
What?
Playoff Brook.
I can't do it as a series because I just keep seeing Mike Budenholzer coaching. I'm like, that's kind of unfair.
Focus, Mars. Get off Coach
So, like,
Bud.
as like a big three in terms of fit, I think because I think defensively is the Bucks big three easily.
Yep.
I mean, what Giannis is able to do defensively, Drew Holiday, I mean, it's self-explanatory, and Chris Middleton could play defense at that time. And then, but when I look at it as like a matchup, KD is like, I don't want to call KD an X factor because it's KD, but like he's the one where there's no answer. Like you can put Middleton on Beal or whatever and think you're fine, and then put Drew Holiday on Devin Booker, and we've seen that. Drew Holiday did a very good job on Devin Booker and Chris Paul in that series. Like he was switching off both of them. But then you got KD, and I'm like, there's no answer for him. Like, although, well, when did the Suns play the Bucks? Like last week? Giannis did a pretty good job in the stretches on KD. So
I'm not mad at that Chris Middleton being able to guard KD too. Once again, he doesn't shut him down. KD doesn't all of a sudden just average 18 and shoot bad, but that is a good matchup.
It's a tough 30. I feel it. He's averaging a tough 30.
I'm gonna be honest. I might go with the Bucks. Just in terms of defense plus offense. I think the Suns is a better offensive trio and fit, but defensively, I think the Bucks.
We're dumb. They're just gonna put PJ Tucker on KD.
There you go. There we go. Right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now I changed my pick. Give me the Suns. KD averaging 60. Give me the Suns.
All right, fellas. I have one more duo. We could do one more. Just for shit.
I gotta
giggles. The very last one is basically, well, this Suns team versus the number one team in the East. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Porzingis. Who's the better big three?
Not including Derek White. It's crazy.
I think the Suns are better big three. Again, talent wise, even fit. I mean, fit wise too. Maybe. I think Jaylen Brown, the weaknesses there that he has that we understand. Durant, I think Durant to me is still Durant better than Tatum. Yeah, I still have Durant over Tatum.
Are you sure about that, Jalen?
Yeah, I mean, because it's close. It's close. If I have Durant as let's say the fifth best player in the league, then Tatum is sixth. So it's like it's right there. I'll probably edge Durant.
That's not actually where you have them, right?
No, not. I mean, I have to make the top 10 list right now. But there'd be like one or two spots from each other, right? So give me Devin Booker over Jaylen Brown for sure, and Bradley Beal versus Porzingis. I mean, if you want to go Porzingis based on some value he brings, I'm not mad at it, but I'm still taking Bradley Beal probably.
That's biased. Talent wise, I guess you can say you can say I would say Suns for talent in my opinion, but the better big three is in Boston.
I mean, they have amazing record. That's just a team too. That team.
I think as a big three, the Suns' big three complements each other more. I think the reason Boston is so nice is because the team, like, the whole five complement each other. But as a big three, I think Jaylen Brown, like Jason Tatum and like Porzingis is perfect. JT and JB in terms of complementing each other, I don't think it's as good as
other out. I can get with that logic, but adding KP to that. I think adding KP to that, I think that he gives them the dynamic that they didn't have last year. So you're talking about Robert Williams, who was an all-league defender and a glass cleaner. Okay, so we're going to take him off the court, and we're going to lose some of that defense. We're not going to lose all of it. We're going to lose some of that, but we're going to gain an immense amount of offense, but still keeping some of that defense. So now we get to at least keep teams honest with KP on the floor, as opposed to like a team that loses all of their offense or all of their defense when they trade a guy. And you got a guy in KP who does so many different things for both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, where they both play off of him, diving to the basket, hitting them in transition, them hitting him in the middle of the zone, which now when he gets hit in the middle of the zone, knocking down open shots, which collapses the zone. And now that opens up even more shots for those guys, not just in the half court, but in transition. So when I'm thinking about those two guys, adding KP to them, I think he complements them way more.
Can I just say I need to give, and I know this is a bit through conversation, but I really need to give the Celtics kudos because last year I ran around with the whole logic of it's just two number twos. How can you win with two number twos? What do you do with two number twos? And I kept saying trade one. You know what? They one up me. They said instead of trading one of them, we're gonna add another two. So now we have three number twos. And god dang it, it worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
with a lot of other factors,
3
1-1.
2s, 3 3s,
3
1
2
4.
makes one player honest. Someone's their actual self right now. Somebody's being a 3, and that's all they needed. Somebody to actually be honest.
Shout out
That's
Jaylen Brown.
crazy.
For what it's worth, the Suns may have 2 players better than the Celtics' best player.
Hey, not mad at it. Devin Booker versus Tatum, real conversation.
Hey,
They
it ain't no
may.
May to it.
No,
You,
man.
if
They
you come
might.
to the top middle screen, it ain't no May to it. Hey, it's 11 months in the
Look,
year.
they
Oh,
do.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
saying, there's an argument to be made that the Suns
Oh, I'm sure
have
it is. 100%. 100% it is. I don't think that Devin Booker is better than Jason Tatum, but I can hear the argument. Absolutely, I can.
That's good.
All
Do we
right,
forget
fellas.
another big 3 run? The Miami Heat big 3.
I was gonna go with that one, but I don't.
No, because I'm not here to hear about how the big 3 in Miami wasn't that good and it was really just LeBron.
No, I think the
Not
Heat,
trying to
they all
hear
play
that.
defense.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear
They
that
were
too.
good.
No.
We
They all
can't
play
get into
defense.
LeBron narratives. We got too many
Mm.
super chats. If we do
Okay.
that, it ain't gonna be no open gym down to the facts. It ain't gonna be no open field. We're not even gonna have a playback today. We're gonna be talking about LeBron from here until tomorrow's episode. And
Because of who?
we can't really do that.
I don't know, Namo.
But I got a super chat from Winner. Winner said, "Do y'all think the plan was to keep Poole to replace Klay because they knew this day would come, but because of what happened with Poole, it changed everything?"
I do think we'll call it the incident, did kind of derail Golden State's plans. I don't know if his plan was to replace Klay more so than just be there. But yeah, shout out to Draymond, man.
I think
Maybe
he was
Draymond
eventually.
saw the writing on the wall for Klay and was like, nah, let's get the competition out of him. And maybe that's what it was.
We got to replace Klay, but not with this dude right here. No, not trying
Maybe
to.
he was trying to save his guy.
I think they're ready to build around Jordan Poole even when Steph was gone. Like people forget, like people are like Jordan Poole, the guy who's going to be 25 a night, good efficiency, get better as a passer, decision maker. I think they were ready to kind of make him a face of the franchise type of guy, and then that incident happened.
We actually had this conversation. Like, what does Jordan Poole look like in year 6? And I'm hearing people tell me Donovan Mitchell, he's Bradley Beal good. I was like, what?
He's
Is he
26. He's 26.
I was having to be the Jordan Poole hater. Like,
I was like, what?
I don't see him.
What am I missing here? I'm clearly missing something.
I thought he would average.
Bill.
I thought he'd be top 5 in scoring
Poole.
this year. I thought he'd be top 5 in scoring this year, something like that. And I think a lot of people did because we thought the usage would be crazy. The shots.
Top 5 in scoring. Hold on.
CD sent through a super chat and said, "For Mars, if LeBron opts out, is the most he can make is 10 mil? What's the rules to older players to older max players, and how would that affect free agency?"
He's under the impression that he's not going to sign an extension. He thinks he's just going to sign
hold on. He can still sign for like 50 mil a season.
Yeah, he thinks he's just going to sign a vet minimum. No, that's not happening.
And the vet minimum is not 10 mil.
I don't know the financial rules.
No, that super chat. He thinks that James is James Johnson, where he's just going to get on the crew and sign the vet minimum because he in year 16. No,
but isn't that what he said he'd do if the team drafts Bronny? He'll just join for a minimum to play with his son.
That's what he says.
I'm drafting Bronny. If LeBron comes and plays for a minimum or 10, even if he signs for 10 mil, listen, I'll trade up for Bronny.
Is that allowed for a player to who's clearly worth more to take?
You can't tell them no. Yeah, they're definitely. You can't stop a player from being like, "Hey, you got to take more money." You definitely.
I've always wondered. So, theoretically, if there was 5 superstars who just don't care about the money, just want to win. Like, let's just say Steph Curry, James Harden, Kawhi, KD, and Jokic. We're like, we'll take 10 mil a season, and we'll just play together for 4 years.
They really could do that.
The NBA couldn't stop that. The NBA couldn't be like,
it would have to be the. I don't know if it's the mid-level exception. It's a certain amount. Like they have to take because of who they are, but I don't think they can all just take 1.5.
I think they can all take the minimum. They can all take whatever minimum is.
I don't think they can do the Spencer Dinwiddie 1.5 mil and all of them beat. I think it has to be like 5.
Well, it's like I think the 10 year.
5 mil. I mean, 5 mil on the 5.
Yeah, you're
that's still 25 mil. You got 100
Yeah,
mil.
I mean,
so the NBA would be powerless to stop that.
Yeah, you can't. How much I thought it's like a billionaire.
I'm gonna be honest with the amount of money they make in endorsements. At some point, there might be players who consider doing it.
Yeah,
in theory, yes, but in all actuality, this is still a business, and if someone does that, they can easily just change the rules on the fly. I mean, let's not act like they can't just
call
get 1 or 2 before they can go and change it. They ain't gonna grab 1 or 2 though.
I've always said, like, if the son of a billionaire comes along and he's like, an MVP caliber player, he just doesn't care. He can just join whatever team for a minimum. It's not going to affect him.
Yeah, for like 1 year. Like even there might be like, at some point, even if they don't sign long-term deals, 5 superstars or 4 superstars joining for a 1 year deal to like guarantee themselves a championship and then go and get their maxes elsewhere. It could happen. It's possible. Then I think the rules would have to change.
I mean,
They're gonna hit so many tampering fines doing that. Like they're gonna, if they do that, they're gonna find a way to tear that down so bad.
This didn't just magically happen. Like all of a sudden,
happen. Yeah, like people.
I mean, if you're a free agent, you guys can talk to each other, right?
But they're gonna pull the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving All-Star game clip. I don't know if y'all remember that season before they ended up getting traded. They seen that clip of them talking at the All-Star game and was like, yo, this is them actually confirming they're trying to play together. That's what literally was going to happen. You'll see a bunch of that on nastier levels.
I just don't see 5 guys in their prime doing that. Like, I can see maybe like 1 or 2 taking less, but the minimum would just create. The LeBron thing would be a one-off, a guy giving you 25 a night play for a minimum. A very rare circumstance. Like I said, a father wanted to play with his son. But, yeah.
Satoru with the super chat said Steph took a step back because KD was simply better. And 90% of the NBA community was saying KD is better. The narrative only changed after 2022.
He's right about the last part.
Not true.
He is.
The last part is fine. Before then, that's not true.
I thought
it was not consensus. Steph Curry was.
Oh, I just froze up on Damo. Look, I thought it was consensus.
I'm fucking frozen.
You had us. You said it was not consensus. That was the last thing.
You said it was not consensus, then you got cooked.
Yeah, that was the last thing we heard.
I'm back. Cool.
Yeah.
It's not.
You said it was.
It wasn't a consensus that KD was better than Stephen Curry. There were arguments. It was a lot. It was a loud. I'm not even gonna say minority. It was a good amount of people saying it. It was not a consensus thing. It was a lot about. People still hated Kevin Durant for going. So you had the people that were obviously hating on Kevin Durant saying he wasn't nothing. And you had the people literally that believe Curry was still better. I was one of the people that believe the man that just came off 2 MVPs and beat this man is still better. That was a real thing.
Hey, Ron, I got to bounce, brother. Hey, fellas, I will see y'all dudes tomorrow. Till then, take it light.
Hey, chill, right quick.
Yep.
Take it easy, chill.
You had a good Valentine's?
I was chilling. Yeah.
You was chilling?
You got flowers for the boo?
I was chilling. So,
Okay.
all right, fellas. Later.
Oh, Chill trying to avoid the answer. Did you get someone flowers, Chill?
Later.
Oh, he was like, no, sir.
Yeah, Chill tell. Giving them flowers and getting them flowers. I see you, boy.
Talk about it.
Brax, Ron. Respect my glorious Reaper. And Klay is washed, dried, and put up.
I guess.
Kevin Durant still good.
Sorry, Klay
Klay is
Thompson,
washed. Yeah.
Alan L said, I already passed MJ on 2K. He's not the GOAT. I am.
Man, a lot of people living their dream on 2K. I'm saying you can't do the league. Live your dream.
I just passed Zion.
Hey.
Damn, you early in my career, huh?
I don't get very far.
I don't never play. I play starting 5.
Like 3 games.
I grind on starting 5, man. Shout out starting 5. Underrated game mode.
I just stopped playing.
Tough.
Nick Tri-State said the gap defensively is much larger than the gap offensively. David Robinson over Karl Malone.
It's funny because while I agree with that like statement that the gap defensively is larger, Nick is the same person who said Dirk clears David Robinson and KG. Would the same logic not apply?
Oh, see this is how Mars gets y'all, man. This is how Mars gets y'all.
I'm fine with that logic, but when I said KG and David Robinson were better than Dirk, he said hell no. But would that not is the gap defensively not much larger than the gap offensively? Like, I understand if that's how you feel, but that's clearly not how you gauge players, unless just say it's because David Robinson got some rings and number 32 doesn't. It's
there it is.
Damn, Nick, you up here getting cooked like that. Sad to see you go out like that. Nick Tri-State with another one. It said Juice ran for 2K in 12 NFL games in a 12-game NFL season.
Is that crazy?
That's crazy. Dope.
Bring the running game back.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. 2K would be that's like an all-time great season. I mean, a historic season in a 16-17 game.
What's
It's
that, like 100? That's like 150 yards a game, something like that.
Yeah, I think what the record for in a season is only like, is it 2,100 or something? The record for a
Yeah,
season.
Oh, so is he the GOAT?
I mean,
When
when
in
it comes to
2K,
running backs,
Yeah.
he could very well be.
Oh, okay.
More, they're doing 16 game seasons. Well, it's a 17 game season
17
now.
now.
But it's been
17 now,
it's
yeah.
been 16 or it was 16 for very long time. People weren't cracking 15. He
Yeah.
did 2K in 12 games.
Maybe
Unheard
they
of.
ran the ball more back then than they do now.
It's kind of like the Wilt type of theory, you know. He could.
Oh,
I mean, the
okay.
running game, the running game was more prominent before, for sure, versus now it's more of a throwing league. So running backs don't get the same opportunity that they did before. The touches just aren't there.
See,
But still
context.
impressive.
Yeah, context. See,
It's real.
see how I figured that out? I didn't even watch
I
the,
know.
I didn't watch the sport, but I can still figure out context.
There it is.
Oh, God.
Styles Blackman in the house with the super chat said, I'm old enough to have witnessed in real time what Olajuwon did to David Robinson in 95. Never looked at him the same after that.
Yeah, that 1v1 thing definitely kind of definitely kind of hurt David Robinson perception. Because that's like a thing that the NBA would every now and then would just like pop up too. Like they'll post about it, like that game and that situation where he saw him get the MVP award and then just cooked him.
I think Hakeem averaged like 37 a game in that series or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Shout out
Ace
to
30
Hakeem.
with the super chat. He said for Mars and Chill, but Chill's not here. So for Mars and Damo, who's greater, Westbrook or Stockton? Why? Whose peak is higher, KG or KD? Get them likes up. 100. Y'all get.
I think
likes
KG's peak is higher than KD's. I've said that enough times, so I'm like that one's easier for me.
All
All
right,
time,
Damo.
Westbrook or Stockton? I think I may have Stockton higher all time than Westbrook. Part of his longevity, part of his consistency. Also, I just think his skill set translates more to the success of teams because I've always said I don't think Russell Westbrook is the best guy, is very viable. But both of them is like complementary pieces. John Stockton being the better shooter, being the better decision maker, being the better defender. Plus, he played for 6,000 years. All those things combined is probably why I'd say Stockton, but I think it's close. And then peak-wise, I think Russell Westbrook's better than the best of Russell Westbrook is a better player than John Stockton was, in my opinion. But when you factor in the fact that Russell Westbrook's first few years, like 08 to like 2010, meh. And then the last few years have been shaky. Whereas I think John Stockton had a lengthy stretch where he was extremely impactful. I'd probably take Stockton.
I think Stockton is more. Go ahead, Dama.
Oh, I was gonna let you go, but I was just gonna say I'm definitely taking Westbrook higher all time than Stockton, and I'm taking KG's peak higher than KD's peak.
The whole KG thing, I think more and more people are come to the realization, even just to watch more KG, like KG's peak was
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. We'd say like top, I think like top 15. And I mean, top 10 is kind of crazy. Really think about some of the peaks, like you really like compare to me, like I'm trying to think of a player peak. Like I'm not like a Larry Bird peak versus KG peak is a lot closer than people think.
I guess, but I mean, people still think KD peaked higher, which I'm not saying is crazy. I think I have them like one spot apart. But you just shout out to the super chat, shout out Rusty Evans, man. But you look at KG, I'm like, that's one of the five best
Rusty flowers, Damo. Send him some flowers.
Yeah, facts. Maybe he was your Valentine. Hey,
facts.
Love is love. You look at KG, one of the 5 best defenders of the last 40 years, in my opinion. At worst, one of the 7 best. One of the best passing forwards we've ever seen. Extremely versatile scorer. Like I understand KD is one of the 5 best scorers we've seen in the modern era. But dare I say, in every other regard, he's worse. Perimeter defense, he's worse. Interior defense, he's worse. Motor, he's worse. Rebounding, he's worse.
Yep.
Passing, he's worse. Playmaking, he's worse.
You're right. Every of that.
Off the ball, I'd say KD's better, but like KG was very good off the ball in his own right.
100%.
Intangibles, I mean, so yeah, I'm very high on KG's peak, like very high.
I also think KG's scoring numbers look better in like the 2010s, obviously because the era thing, like that 22 a game changes to like 25, 26.
Greek, what are you talking about? I just said I got KG's peak over KD. Am I lying? And yes, I have KG's peak at 10 of the last 40 years. I've been very clear on that. Yes, so I'm not lying. I've said that.
D9 sent through some very informative information for everybody in here. Listen loud and clear. He said 12 months of League Pass for free if you vote on Tatum's All-Star shoes on the NBA site, which I'm assuming is NBA.com. Why that is so beneficial for everybody in here is because to join our playback, you need NBA League Pass so you can watch the games that we're watching. Now, we have 20 free VIP passes that we can give out to you, but you don't need to be one of those 20 people out of 200 people that could be in the room when
Thousands
you
of
already
people.
have
Stop underselling.
your free NBA League Pass. So go ahead and get that NBA League Pass, all 950 of you in here, and come and join our playback and watch us do what we do best.
Who's on tonight? No game?
Down
Wait,
to the
who games on?
facts. It will be no games tonight. Tonight we are getting down to.
Oh, it's just me and Dub. Yeah, me and Dub live on playback in 10 minutes, man. Yeah, I don't know what we're talking about, but yeah.
All right, keeping it lit. Andra 15789 said, finally, healthy Mavs since trade deadline. Number 1 defense, number 1 rebounds per game, number 1 blocks per game, number 2 points per game. Watch out.
Small sample size.
They do look good. They
do. They really do.
They look really good.
You know who else looks good? Victor Wembanyama.
That he does.
You know what else is looking good? The chances of him averaging 21 points this season.
Hey, let's go. Yo, I'm going to have to go holler at Ticket. I'm going to have to go holler at him, collect that 1,000.
Weren't you betting that he wasn't going to average 21?
No, he's
25.
25. Yeah, that's easy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 21. Okay, never mind. See, 20.5.
You know you're not getting that money, right? Yeah,
hey man, I'm gonna mess him on the side. You know, we gonna work it out, man. We gonna work it out.
Pull up to the DR. Pull up on him the same way he pulled up on Shiloh.
Shoo! I might go fly out there.
I can connect you with my Jamaican partners.
Technically, if you think about it, per 36, Wemby averaging 26. Have you
really won
the bet? Have you really won the bet, or has Wemby just been on a minutes restriction? Like, what are we talking about? Did you really win? I don't know.
Now, Wimpy is insane though. That ISO as he tween step back. Yo, him dribbling on players is working. Like this summer when it was on PG podcast, yo, that dribbling ain't gonna work. You gonna put somebody small up on them, get up in there. No, you're not. No.
Even the game against the Raptors,
I tried to tell y'all it was going to look. Mars. You know, I tried to tell y'all what it was going to look like.
He leads the league in loose ball in turnovers by losing the ball.
It
doesn't work, but when it does work, it looks.
We only watch the highlights.
It doesn't work.
Highlights matter. Highlights matter.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's working. It's working, man. It's working.
He's lost the ball more times than anyone in the NBA. Like, I'm fine with the highlights looking fantastic.
I thought Pop was gonna have him out there looking like Calipari, big man, just rim running. Hey, run rim to rim. That's it. Get on this block. Pop can't contain the beast. Wemby out there playing like
Victor Wembanyama. He was gonna be out there looking boring like Tim Duncan.
I really did. He said, "Man, you can't put no cage on me, son. I run this new era. Come on, now."
Bro. That defense I saw against the Raptors, like the whole 10 block game, man. Let me tell you, there was a thing where Grady Dick, he goes in the lane, he has an open lane. Victor's just beside him. He wasn't going to contest, finger roll, air ball. He just felt Victor there. He was like, "Damn." And just figure, and then he got it back.
No, and then just a bomb and should finish at the rim. What we talking about?
Exactly. He fingered air ball, then he got it back. Victor just standing. Victor barely even jumped. He goes up for a butt, blocked. Grady Dick just on the floor. Damn. He just on the floor looking like, damn. This player really just got me.
The Dick felt the Vic.
Hey, man, that's what happened. The Dick felt the Vic. What are you gonna do?
Early Cofield said, same way the Jazz let Kobe score that 60 in his last game, they were literally just letting him run it up.
The Lakers for sure. The Jazz were kind of
really making some points.
Yeah, the Jazz were playing defense for the most part, but the Lakers, yeah, they were force feeding the ball to Kobe. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Your last game, like, it's cool.
Melo Williams said, shout out to Denny going berserk last night. Did we see this?
He been
40.
How many free throws?
11. 40 with 11 free throws. That was a 30-point night, buddy.
Okay. 30 for Denny Avdija is
not too bad. It's not too bad.
That was a cool game. He had a cool game. But we have to put context.
Denny's been playing well for a little while now.
He's had a couple of games to put up some numbers, rebounding.
He still needs to be more aggressive as a shooter. Like, certainly he needs to do that. But he's been playing pretty well for a little while. As someone who's trying to keep up with Marvin Bagley, I'd be tapping in here and there.
Mhm.
Then you have the he's a nice player.
I'm not gonna lie to you. If I'm anybody on that Washington team, as a team, we're collectively getting Jordan Poole in the locker room and forcing him to take a contract reconstruction. You're restructuring your deal. You're restructuring your deal, buddy.
This ain't the NFL. This ain't the
NBA players getting all that damn money to look like this over. Did y'all see that carry? He thought he was playing in the Ballers Life tournament.
Yo,
Yeah, that's who Jordan Poole
He was
is. That's what he
Hezzy
does.
God. He pulled a Hezzy God play in an NBA game. He is done. Reconstruct that contract, please.
Damo, you gonna have a bunch of you gonna hire like 3 6'8", 6'8", big, just buff black guys. You gonna have them put on Draymond faces and corner.
No, not even. I'm getting everybody on the team to all get Draymond masks, and we're wearing Warriors 23 jerseys.
You gotta have somebody with a Draymond face mask on. You have to. That's
we
the only
all
thing
wearing
really
them. All of us
intimidating.
is wearing them.
Oh,
Impressing me. Like, yo, change it. Yo, sit down with your man. Where's your agent? Hey, get Bob right here from upstairs. We're restructuring this shit as a team. There's no way, bro. 30 mil for this?
Yeah,
What?
NBA players living the good life. Ain't no restructuring.
Get your money,
NBA
man.
players.
Jordan
It's
Poole. I'm not
guaranteed.
hating on you, man. Get your money, man.
Yeah, get
I
that.
don't usually worry about y'all bread, but your bread, Jordan Poole, I'm worried about. That is steep. And have y'all seen LaMelo Ball just in robbing the NBA for money down there in Charlotte? LaMelo looks like a rapper at every game. It was crazy.
He's injured.
No, he's
LaMelo
not.
cares
He
more-
was out there posterizing trainers in the practice clip that dropped yesterday. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to hear
but
that.
but you can do that. But I mean, in the game, it's different.
He is collecting free checks. LaMelo is scamming. He's about to be the first NBA scammer. I thought he is with Miles Bridges from Detroit, the birth of scamming in this era. He is scamming the NBA. This is what I'm saying.
I mean, for what it's worth, the Hornets are winning.
With Trey Mann out there giving buckets. Trey Mann
been doing his thing. Yeah,
Trey Mann's been doing
Trey,
his
Trey
thing.
Man dope like that though. It was just like you can't play behind Shea. Like what can you do? I mean, he could
Now
have
you
played
gotta play
over
behind LaMelo.
And it's not even just scoring.
Yeah.
He rebounds the ball well for his
Straight touch.
position, the passing, playmaking. He's solid.
Lundini the Genie with the super chat said, as a Dubs fan, and I see this team lately, there's no reason Klay should be there in the fourth if it's been working without him.
Reputation, man.
Fall from grace.
Jonathan Fitz said, so we're not going to talk about KD being healthy this season?
KD's been healthy this
He
season.
has been healthy.
We
Solid
spoke
good for
about it.
KD.
There we go.
And
That's
Anthony
been
Davis.
healthy.
Let's hope he remains healthy. Let's hope he remains
Now
healthy.
that's what we really need to talk about. The best big in the NBA. And I'm sorry.
Anthony Davis healthy.
Let's keep going.
Paper Stacks 2Gs said, it's because we know Luka is not going to win playing the way he plays.
Why do y'all feel? Oh, that's fine.
Mars
Oh
explained
yeah,
it before.
I already.
Until you see it, people won't believe it. Basically,
Yeah,
until you see
it's
it, people
fine.
won't believe it.
but they'll be religious. I digress. I digress.
Mars, that's nasty.
Okay.
Yo, Yurt with the super chat said Heat this season are 15-5 with Duncan starting and are 10-0 when he scores 20 plus. Respect Duncan.
That's actually a lot of stats.
Duncan Robinson, yeah.
That's a
He
lot
he's
of
another sneaky candidate for most improved. He's not gonna win it, but in terms of like how much he's actually improved, he's much better now.
Paper Stack 2Gs yet again said it's not Luka's ball dominance. That's the problem. It's what he does with the ball. That's the problem.
What, be one of the best scorers, best passes, and best playmakers?
Right? What does he do?
Hey, what a bad problem to have.
This is crazy.
Oh man, we got one of the best
Oh.
passers and scorers and shot creators and playmakers.
Oh my gosh. This
Oh,
is crazy.
God damn it, man.
Dominique Thompson said fake agenda pushing. Jalen Brunson wanted to stay. Kyrie loves it here. Players like playing with Luka, but some just don't want to sacrifice points to win.
Yeah, I don't buy into the people don't want to play with Luka thing. Now, I think Kyle Kuzma's been trying to make it seem like he wants to play winning basketball. I think he's just lying. But like in general, I just think some people just don't want to be in Dallas. I don't think that's a Luka thing. I think, and some people just didn't get paid. Jalen Brunson, I'm sure, would have stayed, and Kyrie re-upped for a reason.
The Dallas thing is weird because isn't Dallas a big market? They're like in the middle of Texas.
Is it?
I mean,
Dallas is a big
Texas,
market.
right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a huge market.
DSG Piccolo said beef stew turned to jail, or Beef stew turned to jail stew last night. Need the Warriors to continue to collapse for my Blazers with that pick we got.
They're gonna make the play-in.
That pick's not protected. I don't pay attention to protections other than
Is it
my
not?
Yeah,
I don't know, but the way my team's falling, I need that Houston pick to fall in the top 4 so we get it back because we're not making the playoffs. But yeah, Isaiah, is he still gonna be in the league?
I mean, that's to me, that's still like a locker room thing. What again? They were kind of chest up, two guys in the locker room talking. One just goes boom. I mean, I've seen that before.
Yeah, but is he good enough?
Is that what happened though?
Is he good enough? Is he good enough to do these things and get away with it? Because he got into it with Brandon Miller this season. Yeah, it wasn't as bad. And then obviously him running like an enraged bull after LeBron was interesting. And now this, is he good enough to stay in the league doing these things?
He's not. But I don't know this one. Did you guys see the footage on this?
No, I just heard that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. There's no footage of it yet.
They said the NBA was going to investigate it because it was in the tunnel. So luckily he didn't do it, which I mean he was probably smart for that. He probably knew what he was doing. He's like, okay, we're not on the court. Yeah. What's up? What you want to do? Drew Eubanks. You know.
I feel like in the tunnel things like this happen. And obviously the swing, but things like this happen more often than not. We just don't hear about it a lot of times.
TMZ will have it eventually.
No doubt. They got
eventually somebody from that stadium.
Yeah, Rita got the cameras, right? Yeah.
I need to see what happened first to really dictate that. Because if Drew was really like acting out of character, then I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not mad at it. But if Drew was really like being Drew Eubanks, the Drew Eubanks that I think when I think of Drew Eubanks, Drew Eubanks. Yeah, get that thug out the league, man. Can't tolerate this. Not in my NBA. Can't tolerate this foolishness, man. Prison beef stew needs to be put away. He got arrested. That's how I knew his thug behind needs to be out the league. When they
that's crazy to get arrested. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never heard of that happening in like an NBA arena when players like have an altercation with another player. Arrest happening is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Hey, that's
maybe
not
they saw the footage
anymore. That's beef spread. That's beef top ramen packet. Okay, y'all remember that.
Beef spread is wild.
I got 4 more super chats, y'all. Let's go ahead and get through these real quick, and then we got open gym down to the facts. Dan Stig said, Mars, who would you say are the Penny and the Nash of soccer and why?
Nash, I don't know. Kevin De Bruyne, best playmaker in the world, I guess. Penny Hardaway,
short stint, but injuries killed him.
Yeah.
Kaká had kind of a run and got hurt.
Yeah, maybe. Could argue Neymar, but I don't know. Had potential to be the best in the world and just didn't reach it for a variety of reasons. Yeah, I'll say Neymar. Well, why not? Yeah.
Good pick.
Satoru said, Damo, Curry is the one who flew across the country to recruit KD after choking in the finals. KD didn't ask to go there.
Do you understand what free agency is?
I don't care about none of the shit that you're saying right now about Stephen Curry or whoever trying to root Kevin Durant.
Like free agency is literally KD deciding to go somewhere. He literally goes to go there. What do you?
KD got the final decision.
Free agency is literally you choosing where you go. What are you talking about? And also, Curry wasn't going to go meet with KD, but they said KD won't consider joining if he doesn't feel like you want him there. So Curry went. Curry wasn't actively recruiting KD. It was the Warriors and Draymond Green. And then they needed Steph Curry to go to the meeting because KD wouldn't have joined if he didn't feel like Steph wanted him there. So if you know the actual situation and how it unfolded, Steph had very little to do with it other than the fact he showed up to the meeting.
Savion S said, what would the conversation be if Bron signed off on the trade to Golden State?
He can't be the GOAT. That's it. That's what the conversation would be. He can't be the GOAT. He joined the guy who beat him in the finals 3 times. That's what the conversation
that'd be. Y'all conversations.
That's the conversation.
It might be. Yeah, well, I'm gonna do that. It'd be interesting because I mean the Warriors are kind of an older team. Obviously, whatever they're not really a championship as of right now. What are they in the West? Like 10th place in the West. So it'd be interesting if he went there. How much? It wouldn't be KD going to the Warriors. It would not be seen as that. Would not be him joining a super team or whatever. But I think in some ways people might be excited to see LeBron and Steph play together. The two faces kind of.
Haters is trying to cope
I
right
would've-
now. They'd be hating.
I
They'd
would've
say it's worse.
Maybe.
Talking about. If LeBron
And,
joins Steph, they'd say it's worse than KD. Like I don't care if Klay Thompson's washed and Draymond Green's not what he used to be. They'd say it's worse than KD.
Last but not least, Vane29 said Mars. Who's the second best player on the Clippers?
James Harden.
There you have it. Shout out to Power. He became a new member today. Y'all tap in to Open Gym Down to the Facts right after this. Go to playback.
It's already started.
Yeah,
Join
Dub's
the
there right
room.
now watching the panel. He waiting for me.
With Player's Choice. Dub, if you're watching this, L Dub.
L
Mike,
Dub,
the video
L
on the way out.
mustache. The deal thing.
Tap in later. Flew in and chill later. Open gym later or open field later. We'll catch y'all same time tomorrow. Same crew, same time, same cast, better topics. Yada yada yada. Catch y'all later.
Sub to me on YouTube. 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 Sub to me on YouTube.
Let me
Sub
help
to
you.
me on
Damo.
YouTube.
Let me help you.
Sub
Let
to
me
me on
help you.
YouTube. Sub to me on YouTube. That's
Right
Damo.
there.
Sub to me on
There you
YouTube.
go.
There it is.
I don't get that plug. That's